For a couple of weeks, I'll be in his place till he calls and says he's sorry. This situation's on repeat, just like a scratch on a CD. It just gets deeper when you hit rewind. How many nights will you make this decision? Nights ending tears and it's blurring your vision. That you take when you're sick of crying all your tears away. Is that all I am? All I want is for you to be happy. You know this ain't healthy. Do I make you happy? How many nights will you make this decision? Nights ending tears and it's blurring your vision. I'm still not enough. Even your parents know I'm good for you, but I'm still not enough. You wanna be done with him, you're stuck with him, 'cause you don't have the guts. And after all I've done, I'm still not enough. Still at your place, trying to make it okay. He's miles away, I'm left here with you. Say that you just need someone.
You love it, you wear it. What's your style? Get your merch at shop.eslgaming.com.
Hello and welcome to ESL Challenger League Season 45. I, of course, am Wolfie, and joining me at some point to bring you through the best of the action will be Dean. He's running a little bit off schedule. I think there's some tech issues going on, so he'll be dropping in to give his insight as and when he is available. But for now, you are stuck with me, and there is a couple of matchups going on across ESL tonight. We had a few going on yesterday. We got the schedule for today to take a look at as well. 2 games on the docket. Up on the A stream, we have got the upper bracket with Saw taking on Spirit's Academy team, so not the full roster, the Academy boys instead. And down on the B stream, we've got another upper bracket quarter-final with Ignis Serpens, I do hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, up against OneWin. So a Polish versus Russian matchup down on that B stream. And if you do want to catch it, make sure you take the URL at the top, stick a B on the end, and then we are good. But we got to focus in a little bit, start to think about our matchup and think about what we're going to be looking at, which is going to be Saw up against this Team Spirit Academy roster. Now, Saw, they're a relatively known quantity. There have been some roster changes in the not too distant past. Aradose been on the roster for the best part of a month now, as he looks to make his presence felt, just, of course, leaving to go onto the bench after almost 3.5 years in the organisation. So a little bit of chopping and changing, but nothing too serious. That core of the current Saw lineup still very much there, very much present. Spirit Academy, a little bit more confusing. You've got a lot of new up-and-coming players in this lineup. There's a lot of names that you won't necessarily have heard of before if you don't follow the scene massively deeply, especially if you're not watching these Academy lineups. They've been together for a good few months now, looking at 6-7 months as a 5-stack. There has been some chopping and changing before that point, but they seem to have found a bit of consistency with this lineup. Some big numbers being put up by this team as well. Donk, Art Frost, Zontix, all looking like incredibly talented players who could well be the future of that main lineup. It sort of looks like they are training to go into that main lineup, but of course, being an Academy roster, they're not necessarily facing the best opposition in the world. And I think that's where those stats of the individual players, especially the youngsters, can start to be just a little bit deceiving. You look at it, it looks like they are the best of the best, but then you filter through the results and they're not really playing teams inside of the top 30. It's mostly 40 and below, a handful of 50 scattered in there. Then it's the talent lineups. It's Astralis Talent, it's Mao's NXT. They are taking these scalps, to be fair to them, but is it enough up against a Saw lineup who arguably are one of the gatekeepers of the top end of Tier 2? Now, we will have to wait and see. Of course, the vetoes will have a massive impact, as always, on how these things sort of pan out and how we look at the maps that we're going to get into our hands. And they are intriguing, is what I'm going to go with for these vetoes. Now, I've got them on the side screen, so you'll have to excuse the side eye, rather. But you've got Saw opting to start second in the ban list. Fine, whatever. That's personal preference largely at this point. Ancient and Mirage go out immediately. Now, that's standard for both of these teams. That's their perma bans. We're just going to get rid of them, not really worry about them too much. No problem at all. The picks start to come in. Spirit Academy have gone for Vertigo. Saw have gone for Inferno. Now, Spirit Academy, that is an intriguing pick because by the numbers at least, there are a lot of maps in the pool that they are far better on to be looking at as a first pick. They like Nuke. They play a good amount of Nuke, although they've been moving away from it recently. The stats say they're big fans of Overpass as well. Big winning streak, 4 on the trot, 82% 1 out of 11 games. That's like 10 or 9 out of 11. So that is a very, very solid numbers for a relatively young roster to be pulling out. But they've gone for their pick. They've gone for Vertigo, which is fair enough. It's a map that they're starting to work into their rotation a little bit more. We're seeing them, especially in the last couple of weeks, start to pick it as that first pick against teams. So clearly got an idea of how they want to play that one. Saw going towards Inferno. I mean, they've lost their usual first pick of Ancient. That's got banned out by Spirit Academy. So Inferno, it sort of makes sense as a backup plan. They sometimes go towards an Overpass. They sometimes go towards a Vertigo, but that's already been picked. So there was a limited pool for them to really be selecting from. So they go for the Inferno. It makes a lot of sense. Second string bands, Spirit Academy take out Anubis. Again, you can kind of argue it either way. They've played a lot of it. Their numbers aren't great. Sora played even less of it. Clearly, Spirit Academy's pick strategy is to go to their strengths rather than play their opponent's weaknesses. So fine, they bin that one off. Saw them ban out Overpass. Again, makes a lot of sense. Very confident map for Spirit Academy. All the numbers point to them being a very competent side on it. So we get rid of that one and we can it. And then the final one, the decider, is Nuke. And that decider is nasty. It is really, really nasty is what I will say for Saw, because that's the traditional first pick of Spirit Academy. Until very recently, it was the map that they like to pick into first. Their stats are very, very good on it. It plays to their individual prowess really nicely as well. They seem to be a very, very competent roster on it. I can't say I've watched them play it, but they seem to be very, very solid on it. So that third map, if we end up there, feels like it could be very, very nasty for Sora, and we could start to see maybe Team Spirit's Academy team taking this scalp and really starting to establish themselves as a numbers team in Tier 2. But it's one of those ones where I can't really say that I can see it getting to 3 at the moment. It looks a little bit ugly in terms of Vertigo and Inferno, both being maps that Saw can play very, very well, both being maps that we know Saw can play. We've seen, especially in the ECL over the last few seasons, we've seen them play it and they look very, very solid. But I believe Deanie is with us now and ready to stop me from waffling on for hours and hours. There we
Well,
are.
I mean,
how you doing, my friend? You all right?
You've always been pretty good at the waffling, Wolfie. I don't think we could hold you back. You could probably
still
fill the
muted
entire
in Discord,
best of
so I
3
can't
with it.
hear
So,
him.
I'm not in. There we go. Hello, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now,
I
my
was
friend.
saying
How you doing?
no one can stop you from waffling. You could manage the entire best of 3 without the game on the screen, I'm sure, if we needed it. So I don't think that'd be too big of an issue. But yeah, I caught the end of what you were saying there. I've got to agree. It does seem like a slightly weird veto. It seems like Spirit kind of tried to pick into their own strengths, which also happened to be the strengths of Saw. And with Saw being, in my opinion, the stronger lineup here, it's going to be tough. But they've got some firepower. They've got some individual players here that have some really strong stats that, frankly, I haven't really got to see play before. So there is a bit of a wild card. Maybe they get a good start into that first map. They manage to start running away with a little bit of momentum, and who knows, maybe they could prove us wrong.
Yeah, we touched on it earlier while you weren't here, and the point that I made to sort of counter that, because when you look at the numbers and you just look at the numbers, you're absolutely right. You've got this sort of wicked trio of Donk, Art, Frost, and Zontix who are all putting up mental statistics. They're looking, top of their game. But when you start to go in and start to filter it, they've not played a single team inside the top 30. They've played a handful of top 50 games, but it's a handful of that. Everyone else they're playing is outside that top 50 and sort of dropping down into the 50 to 100 mark, somewhere around there. Whereas Saw's stats, whilst they, for the most part, look a little bit worse, I will point out that, where's he gone? Someone's got really good numbers. Where is he? Ujerks has got very solid numbers on the AWP. I was looking for them. They are all, they play consistently top 20, top 10, top 5 teams in the world as well. They are playing the creme de la creme of Counter-Strike, as well as dropping down into the tier 2 and taking on those tier 2 teams. So it does tend to put a bit of a skew on the numbers, and it tends to sort of make Saws look a little less impressive and potentially make the Spirit Academy boys look a little more impressive than they might be. But of course, that all remains to be seen. And I mean, they've left it all out there on the table. You can't say they've gone for the easy maps, can you?
No, it's certainly going to be an interesting matchup. And as you said, the battle between Ujerks and Art Frost should be pretty interesting. Art Frost, obviously, again, the stats can be a little bit misleading, but it does look like he's pretty solid with that weapon. On the other hand, Ujerks has, I think, the highest impact rating over on Saw, as he is one to keep an eye on with that op. He's the one that's always kicking things off early in the rounds. He takes a lot of initiative. So it'll be definitely an interesting matchup between the two of these. And I mean, I think possibly we could maybe get all the way 3 maps. Again, I think the individuals, even if their stats might be slightly misleading because they played against some weaker teams, I think they could maybe crack through 1 map if they're on form.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible, right? And like I was saying, Vertigo that they've gone for is a map that they are starting to work on more and more. So clearly they've come up with something. They've got an idea of how they want to play it. They're now filtering it in as their first pick in these matchups, especially in the last couple of weeks. So it's definitely possible. I think Vertigo is one of those maps which plays to the individual, right? It plays to the strength of an individual player much more than, say, the more technical maps like a Nuke, which we've ended up with down the line. So it makes a lot of sense to pick that, to give that space to the individuals, see if maybe they can get something going, expect Saw to come back strong if that first map goes against them, though, and expect it to be a 3-map series. But of course, To get into that map, as everybody knows, we have got to get through the ads first, give the players a little bit of time to get warmed up, get in the server and get ready to go. So we are going to throw it to a very quick break, guys, and when we're back, we will have Vertigo for you, so stay tuned.
You love it, you wear it. What's your style? Get your merch at shop.eslgaming.com.
How many nights will you make this decision? Nights ending tears and it's blurring your vision. You know he don't love you, that you're holding on to. Scream through the phone even though he won't listen. So I'm still at your place, trying to make it okay. He's miles away, I'm left here with you. Say that you just need someone caring for you. When will you see me more than you rescue? I'm feeling kinda used, yeah, like a drug that you take when you're sick of crying all your tears away. Is that all I am? All I want is for you to be happy. You know this ain't healthy. Do I make you happy? How many nights will you make this decision? Nights ending tears and it's blurring your vision. I'm still not enough. Even your parents know I'm good for you, but I'm still not enough. You wanna be done with him, you're stuck with him, 'cause you don't have the guts. And after all I've done, I'm still not enough.
Still at your place, trying to make it okay. He's miles away, I'm left here and you say that you just need someone caring for you. When will you see me more than you're asking?
All right, a bit of a delay, but we are getting into the action at long last. Vertigo, the first map of this best of 3 matchup, the pick of Spirit Academy. So, of course, Saw starting over on the CT side of things. And both teams looking to make an early impression here, Dean.
Yeah, wouldn't be Counter-Strike without that little bit of a delay at the start. Hopefully everyone's well warmed up, that's what I might mean. We get into what could be an exciting game, but one that has a lot of question marks, as we mentioned. It's going to be tough for Spirit Academy. Very difficult map pool ahead of them as they take their time. A very slow round being played out, grouping now towards the bottom of this A ramp, and it looks like there's a double setup in on sandbags. They haven't really got any utility to deal with this either, so the question is, will they overlook it? Will they expect the second player if the first shows himself? There's a few things here that could work out for Saw. Oh, I think he spotted the other player as well.
I'm not 100% sure. They're going to flash them out to get a little bit of space. It is a lane push in the meanwhile, but Ujux does a fantastic job of dealing with that, and then Roman looks to strike right as the pieces are falling apart. He gets his kill, and that's bombed down mid-site. Donk, at very least, has found one for a consolation. He wants a little more than that, but he's being flanked out all the while, and Arazdos will find the Julie's kill to finish things off. A really intriguing setup, that from Saw on the pistol. Not one you see every day, but they managed to make it work. They get the round on the board, stop that bomb going down as well, which is always important, because these T-side force buys into the second round, they're very muted if you can't get bomb down.
It's the opposite of what we were saying yesterday when the Galils and AKs and such were coming out. We said without the bomb plants, a couple of pistols at most. Take the ego and just aim to get the early buyout if possible. Heavy ramp presence once again. Ujurk's taking a pretty aggressive stance. Has been one of the better rated players, I believe, for Saw as well. I guess wants to try and pad up the stats a little bit early on and try not to build the op, which he'll eventually look to pull out. Still on towards Sotnik, and second as they try and follow up, hoping those pistols in numbers could at least do something, but fortunately there was numbers on the ramp for Saw as well, and a very clean second round comes in. They had gone pretty heavy on the rifles here as well, so they're playing a relatively safe approach here in terms of the way they could. Anyway, they're still going to have a couple weaker weapons in play against the full AKs now, but at least they have solid utility behind this weaponry.
Yeah, that's what you need when you're going to sacrifice and have a couple of people dropping down onto FAMASs and MP9s. Extra little bit of util, especially towards that A ramp, gives you a lot more options. See it here as the deep smoke comes in initially. There is a counter smoke from the T side on this occasion. Spam is exchanged through the smoke, but for now at least, it looks like at least initially Spirit Academy want to lean out towards B, and that is to their detriment. The nades fly in. Saw with a preconceived idea of what they wanted to do there and just catching the mother of all timings. A free kill onto Sotnik. Zontic's down to 14 HP as well. A huge amount done in the opening seconds of the round, and that's exactly what you want in these kind of situations, Dean, where, you know, you are down a little bit on firepower. Use those nades to good effect. Find yourselves a gift of a man advantage and practically a second kill as well at this point. Just makes it a little easier to leverage those MP9s and FAMASs to good effect.
Position here. Split perhaps in towards B, looking like it could be the way to go. They're going to have to deal with a player fully focused on mid. He can call in some assistance there from the MP9, and there's two fully dedicated to the B-bomb side itself as well. So fortunately, I'm not sure if this is the play to be calling right now, but they don't have that info. As needs to pick something up on mid here.
It's Ujurk's positioning deep down that A ramp right is getting them a lot of information for free, so it's going to be a slaughter on entry to this B side. Story with an early pick, at least one found by Donk, but immediately the trade comes in with Artfrost isolated in mid at this point. Nothing more he can do. 10 seconds on the clock. Save has to be called. And that's another very well orchestrated round from Saw. Can argue they're a little fortunate that the nade stack finds its mark, but to be honest, usually there's at least one player down there.
Yeah, and I mean, sorry, I was going to say the one weapon they lost, I think, was a FAMAS, and they upgraded their MP9 to an AK in the meantime as well. So they've come out with profits really from that round.
It's the right round to pull out that kind of cheeky nade play as well, isn't it? First rifle buy, first real opportunity for Saw Academy to, you know, establish themselves in this series, and they find themselves a man down pretty much instantly without seeing anyone. It's going to be hugely frustrating. Save into this one almost forces the hand of Spirit Academy as well. They kind of want to force buy into this because Art Frost is going to be busted economically. They haven't gone fully. Zontic's invested a little bit, a handful of deagles for the remaining players, but nothing else significant.
Yeah, I need Art Frost to find something crazy. As you said, ideally they could do it at bomb plant as well. To make sure that he'll have to fly with everyone else in the next round. Unfortunately, that AK gets no chance at all. Flash in on mid, blinds up 2. Dunk tries to follow up. Unfortunately, couldn't do much about it. Got spammed down through the corner of the box initially, and well, see who's next to try and test mid. There's 2 players this time waiting around as well, so if Zontix wants to go for it, he's probably going to be destroyed. Zotfix on his way to help him out. Maybe they can get 1 or 2 kills. That's all they're looking for right now. And damage at least. And ooh, what a shot! Read the high angle on Story, surprisingly.
Yeah, just swung it on the pre-fire. It's a nice kill. It's a nice little consolation, but in all honesty, they would have been hoping for a lot more from that round, right? As you said, a handful of upgraded deagles, AK in hand. And again, this is the problem. I mean, they're just about going to be able to scramble the buy together. They've actually done a really good job to manage to make that happen. Art Frost has at least got his AWP. Sacrificing head armor, normally a big problem up against M4s, but with 3 AK saved, it's much less of a concern for the T side. So they've managed to scramble what is a pretty decent buy out of this situation. The question is, they've got 3 full belts of utility. So where do they want to deploy them, and where are they going to try and apply that pressure?
Well, a little bit over towards B early. Story just got away with the timing right there as he put the molly down. I thought he was going to get caught by the player emerging through the smoke for a moment. Instead, he's fallen back to a very passive position. He's actually now, I believe, pushed up on mid, having left this B bomb site completely as the rest of his team stacks on A. So it's going to be a completely open B. Spirit Academy just able to walk in. And that is a big help. Look how little utility they have. If they needed to put smokes and such down, they didn't have them.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure where that call came from Saw, if I'm honest. I'm going to have a think about this retake, but as you said, the utility now no longer needed to hold the site initially can be used to stop this retake. It's a 2-for-1 out of Donk, a very nice spray down, and that's it. Game over. CTs will reset and look for the next round. It was just a poor call of a setup. I think they wanted to get something going over towards A, so they've heavy stacked out there. Trusted U-Jerks to solo hold, and he's opted to rotate in towards middle, left the B site wide open. As those flashes came over the top, I think he didn't quite realise what was happening until it had already happened. That one, the B side taken, really nothing more you can do. So Spirit Academy, I mean, that's pretty much as easy a round as you're going to get, if we're being honest, Dean. A gift of a first. Have to see if they can keep it rolling, though.
Yeah, as you said, though, a little bit of a gift. I think the call was strange from Saw. I'm not sure it was necessarily necessary. It was necessary, rather, for them to go for such a crazy stack. I mean, they had been cleanly wiping up those rounds previously, and they'd been playing things relatively standard, so it didn't feel like the pressure was on A that they really needed to. Maybe just expecting a crazy ramp push, expecting a full execute or something along those lines, since the default hadn't been going so well for Spirit Academy in the previous gun round, but no, that wasn't the case. Instead, now it's given an opportunity to Spirit Academy, but the economy was still flourishing for Saw, so they bought right back in here, and they've still even got some left over if it's needed for them to buy again, but we'll see. For now, it's a slow play from Spirit Academy, expecting maybe some aggression, and only now really beginning to slightly probe around and see what might be available to pick up. Bad timing for them, unfortunately, as they wanted to boost.
Looking to set things up. They do seem to be leaning very heavily over towards that B site as well. Not something you normally see. Story gets his AWP in hand and an opportunity to get something done with it. I think it's catching Saw just a little bit off guard. Again, 3-man play out towards the A ramp, looking to hold that position, but it's really passively occupied for now. Spirit Academy very content to just prod and poke in around this B site. A little bit of nade damage. Go a long way as well. There has been a tag in response. Arazdos trying to play over the top of the smoke. Only 30 seconds left on the clock here. Just about enough util for an execute, but Art Frost is going to go one better. An early pick onto U-Jerks, and they may well double back here. They're thinking about it. Probing their options. Sotfik making as much noise as he can, but they've not bought it on the store side of things. Arasdos still inside of this site, spotting the gun barrels. Needs to get multiple kills, though, and he can't. Donk, lightning fast with the headshot. And suddenly this B site is cracked open. Sora trying to deny the plant. They're doing everything they can, but it's going to go down. And with Story down on 14, it's not! Top of the smoke, he hits his mark! A bullet from death, he finds the planter. And that is a 5th round stolen away. Spirit Academy thought that one was done and dusted.
Jesus, okay. I mean, Saw were kind of due a crazy round of their own after Spirit Academy were handed one in the previous. And it evens things up in that regard, but it's a desperate situation for Spirit Academy. Thankfully, their economy is still there to get another buy, but was there around? Should not have gone down the way it did, and instead of taking some real control in this game now, in the position where sure it's a bit of a swing round here where they can take this one and leave a couple players at least on Saw. Not quite able to buy. They're on focus towards ramp this time around from Saw as well. It looks like they want to wait for this utility and then probably go for a little bit of a peek considering Story's so aggressive on that op, and indeed Punk walks right into the crosshair. That seems to have somewhat pushed the rest of them away.
Interesting. Spirit Academy looking to flex it, change it up a little bit, putting more pressure, slightly more standard over towards the A ramp, but with Story finding that pick, again, just completely disconnecting from it. Got a couple of players around the edge of the smoke, though, and Zontic's going to get the better of the vision. This B site is consistently the target of this T side. RMN, meanwhile, has dealt with the man alone out towards A, so Sotfik no longer holds the rotation. Story in a great position to punish the peak and get Zontic as well, despite the low HP. And now Muturis just looking to put them to the sword, finds 2 more on the 4A1. Sora looking very well drilled on this CT side early on. The flashes are good, the angles are solid, bar that one mistake where they left the B site open and Spirit Academy just walked in. They have looked pretty unstoppable.
Yeah, and that was more down to just taking, I think, an unnecessary gamble, a bit of a weird call. It can happen. Bit of a misread. It wasn't necessarily down to any sort of crazy plays from Spirit Academy, which is, again, what's leaving me worried here. We're not seeing any of the individuals really popping off. Donk has had a few moments, but it's always trades when the round has already kind of fallen apart as well. If elsewhere, no one else has really gotten going individually, unfortunately. So they do someone to step up, at least a couple of players here, if they want to start getting themselves back into this and grinding out a semi-decent D side at this stage. Very aggressive down the ramp.
They like to put him here. He's been in this position a couple of times now. Should be relatively expected.
Backup's gone as well.
Zontic has managed to find a pick over towards B. In the meanwhile, Arasdos getting a little keen on the angle, and suddenly this B site is wide open. Muturis is going to do well to recover one, but his smoke is dodgy. And that's going to cause some slightly panicked rotations here. Ujokes has worked his way back out of the ramp, flashes his AWPer in. There's an angle for Story, and he takes it. Donks down. The man advantage re-established, and Roman goes one better, catches that mid-lurk again. Last couple of rounds, Roman has caught the lurking player and just turned these into very one-dimensional hits. Artfrost and Baz left to try and recover the situation, but again, they've really not got anything to work with here. One smoke on an AWPer. They're relying on Saw to make a mistake, and they're not the kind of team who's just going to go peeking into your angles here. They're already set up inside of the site itself. Ujokes and Story have got a nice little setup, allowing for Story to back away if he wants to, take that initial shot and fall off. Artfrost is not interested in this at all. This entire round, he's given up on it. His teammate's having a little bit of a poke around towards the top of the ramp, but he decides that he'd like to join his AWPer in saving. That's the 7th round on the board. Saw looking very, very solid. Some small mistakes being made here and there, but they're patching over the holes quite nicely. And at the moment, Spirit Academy really not taking advantage of anything they're given.
Yeah, it's an awkward one now. Saving these weapons might push them to go for the full buy. Zontic can get an AK Kevlar. Sotfik and Donk are going to be on weaker weaponry unless they want to go for the body armor, and Zontix actually just goes for body armor as well, so he can get a smoke. But they must have an execute in mind if they're willing to sacrifice the helmet there to get the extra smoke, although Zontix is just putting his down towards B, and he eats a nade. Not a fun time for him at all.
like this. Trying to boost up over the smoke, knowing that U-Jerks the last couple of times has played right into that angle.
Tame this time around, though.
Again, that's a little unfortunate for Spirit Academy. They've made a read on a play that we've seen the CT side make a good few times, and the one time they call the hard counter, there's nobody home from the CTs. Forced to reassess. At the very least, they've not been picked in these opening moments. Completely abandoning the initial peeks in towards the B site seems to be the way to go for now. They have just got Zontic, again, prodding and poking around, but not taking any proper contact as his teammates looking to group up in towards middle, try something a little different here. Maybe try and pile the pressure on Story, who is rotating back out to B. So that gap, again, has started to show itself. There's half a timing here. Mutrus is looking to pick up mid. But with Story rotating off, he's going to have a lot to do here. A lot of crosshairs headed his way, and he can't finish his meal. Sotfik, low HP, but he's got himself the kill. And now Story has to hold off the drop. Only the one. It leaves his teammate isolated, but Arisdos has managed to pivot on a dime to find the kill. U-Jerks backs his man up in mid, and now they are being flanked out all the while. If they want to back this bomb away, Roman is ready and waiting. It's a tough angle for him, though, and Zontic's got his man. This is absolute carnage. Donk is going to try and charge into this B-side bomb out and find his man. With 12 seconds left, it goes down to the wire. Is U-Jerks 1v1, and he gets it. Donk can't quite find that critical kill again. It's scrappy to the last, but Saw won't care. They're 8-1 up.
No, I mean, as you said, it's a little bit scrappier over these past few rounds that they've won, but they had an early push. Those first 4 or so rounds, they were only losing 1 or 2 players max. They built up a solid economy then, and now they can afford to keep on rebuying and still have a little bit left over because of that. Especially when Spirit are now being bounced back down to another half buy of their own, which is some pistols, Kevlar, and some nades. Not ideal. U-Jerks this time again is going for the aggression against the Tech 9s and such that might come through the smoke. It could be dangerous. Sotfik's already bypassed him and is hunting Roman down. Manages to catch him, but I don't think he's going to expect U-Jerks to be behind them right now. Oh, he's going to stick around. Good dink. Barely any damage himself somehow. Get the finish with the nade, unfortunately, but he does some damage in return, and for now anyway, denies them from being able to recover that weapon that was at the top.
He's got away with murder there, and his teammates are starting to back him up. Couple kills out of Aristos, can drop the smoke now, maintain that control of the B stairwell. He's going to be pushed through the smoke again. Spirit Academy pulling every cheeky play they can out of their back pocket here. A man lurking in towards mid as well. Sotfik, low HP, yes, but he's already got a kill to his name. A rifle recovered on Donk. This starts to get dangerous. Timings could well be everything, and Mutrus has used his to good effect. Worked out to 90. A Story once again picks off Sotfik on the rotation, just as he looks to cut out a second angle for himself. 30 seconds left, and this is the problem now. Spirit Academy, this was only a half buy. They've done good damage, but it means they're lacking the util to really clear 90. Mutrus can just lie and wait. Let Story take the initial contact, then swing on the trade, and that is exactly what he's set up to do here. Donk looking completely the wrong way. It's a free kill. Story's there to finish the job. And again, yes, it's a little messy. Yes, a couple kills go against them, but Saw have got the bank account to keep rolling through those kind of rounds, and they're already up 9 rounds CT side of their opposition's map pick. This is getting scary. You know, Spirit Academy, they need to find a round, and they need to find a way to break open this defense soon.
Does just feel like they're a little bit outmatched here. You also need to remember that this is the choice of Spirit Academy. This is not Saw's map choice. They're going on to Inferno next, feeling pretty good. Certainly a map that Spirit Academy can play. Badly things are going right now. It does not look promising. Mutrus with the double in on mid. U-Jerks, he gets 2 of his own. I think Nade took the initial kill and then doesn't even see the second player. Spams him down through the smoke in return to get a bit of revenge for his fallen comrade. So it's all on Zontix now. 1 versus 4 is a couple flashes, which could maybe be useful and is a ton of time. He also has 2 players on the flank right now, which might make things a bit more awkward.
He's got to be so conscious because everything is pushable on Vertigo as well. It's just one angle too many. Mutrus puts his man down, and that's another round that has just spiraled out of control so quickly. Spirit Academy don't seem to know what's hit them honestly would like to see them take a pause here and try and collect themselves, because this is starting to turn into an absolute slaughter here on, you know, the map pick of the Spirit Academy. That's not what you want to be seeing. Could do with 4 or 5 rounds in this half just to give themselves the belief that they can pull it back. Because at the moment, it is all one-way traffic. Buy into this one. A little sketchy as well, a little disjointed, in fact. There's 4 AKs. Artfrost, their AWPer, doesn't quite seem to have got the memo, though. He's down on a P250, picks up a little util and saves some cash for potentially a future AWP buy. Problem is, again, they've lost the numbers early. The nade damage is solid from Saw. Their routines are looking good. And they found a couple of picks to help themselves as well. Story getting the better of the mid player. One through the smokes down the A ramp. And as Aristos deals with the B lurk, this again is just being picked apart at the seams. Yes, Sotfik maybe he's got a bit of an angle here up on the sandbags, and he will catch a timing for one. The position now known. Roman, whilst he's a little isolated, has already screamed for the rotations. Not that he needs them. The kill is found regardless, and despite Arsfrost's best efforts to trade, he's still 1v3. And it's all too easy on low HP for Story to pick him off with the Deagle. 11-1. And again, the buy is so disjointed here. This looks tilted. Artfrost has gone for an AWP when Zontix and Donk can't buy AKs. So they're now half buying while their AWPer is full buying. As is Sotfik. This is... It's backwards, Dean. I don't know what to make of this.
No, I think you're right. They are a little bit tilted at this point. This is one of the more one-sided performances we've had so far this season. It's definitely the most one-sided one that I've been a part of so far. As you said, just a ton of miscommunication and disjointed plays right now between Spirit Academy that's letting it continue to spiral out of control. Could be in trouble once that smoke fades away, but he backs away just in time himself, not wanting to stick around. Again, just the default, they've split across the map. There's nothing special going on for Spirit Academy. They've found most of their success with the quicker plays as well.
Okay.
As Artfrost gets an initial opening. The first time that I can recall of, anyway, that they've got the initial pick, especially without it being traded.
I was going to say, the one way this works is maybe if they spam those Deagles and P250s, convince Saw that it is a half buy, and then there's big bad guns on the other end of it. And we have seen that land at least an initial kill. What do they look to do with it from here, though? Because, again, the read is good from Saw. They've got 2 players stacked over towards B. Roman is fast on the rotation here. Ujerks is once more trusted solo out on A, and as the P comes in, the timing is good. Baz doing what he can on the AK, but Aristos is just one better. And Artfrost, last man up, warping down that ramp, has no idea where to look. It's a slaughter, an ace for Aristos as he just murders everyone coming up that ramp. AWP gets dropped across to Story just to make it that little bit more potent. It's 12-1. And again, the economy's a little bit all over the shop. Artfrost maybe goes towards the scout here, is my thought. He's going to try a Deagle instead, but they're just looking a little disjointed. I mean, the economy's disjointed, the player's disjointed. Spirit Academy, they need to take a pause. They need to slow this down. Try and compose and work out any way to drag a couple more rounds out of this equation, because this is just not acceptable on your map pick.
I mean, I can't imagine how Inferno is going to play out. I couldn't imagine it'll go any worse, but, I mean, on paper, it could. As Ujerks gets the opening kill again. Hoping Spirit Academy can maybe add a couple more rounds and inject some life into themselves here before we go forward to Inferno, which does look kind of inevitable. I mean, it is inevitable. It's the second map in series. Get there no matter what. But it does look inevitable that we'll be getting there soon, rather. Around the alley. Okay, Story was posted up on it, but a little bit of a pre-fire from Dunk gets the job done. 2 players now to deal with those. He swings a little bit too wide, gets committed to the angle. In trouble as well. There was a player behind them. I didn't notice Zontix rather had crept forward. Mutris just wants to maybe do some nade damage, keep the numbers 3-on-3 right now for the retake. A volley down forces him forward. Didn't have much of a choice to wait around as the kills are just constant. The pressure from both sides not being let up on.
There's a flank, but it's a long way away here. Roman is trying to work his way back into the angle, but it's going to leave an isolated Ujerks, a free kill for Baz. And at this point, Footsteps will be heard. It will know what's happening. Baz secures a much-needed second round for Spirit. One that they really had no business winning either. Man down, they managed to leverage their way into that B site. A couple of very nice shots landed. And it gives them just a little bit of space here. 12-2. Opportunity to salvage a third round. Take the pistol cleanly into the second half, and suddenly you might just have a game on your hands. Do need this third round, though. Desperately need it to keep themselves rolling. 5 AKs are up for the first time in a while. They've got a full buy across the board. Leaning towards the A ramp again, heavily to start things off.
And Starry though kicks things off this time around. So many smokes as well around the ramp. You cannot see anything that's going on. There was 4 of them in play right there. B as well is smoked off for now. I mean, they've still plenty of time, a minute 20 on the clock to try and do something here. But again, Spirit Academy are on the back foot. They get 1 round, a small lifeline, and immediately saw come back to life afterwards.
50-50 angle here at the very least, but Ujerks has meanwhile just demolished it, or has he? Zontix and Baz have managed to combine and drag this one back, kicking and screaming. 2-on-2 to play with. Zontix close on the angle as well, makes it very difficult for Story. And as his gun barrel pokes around that corner, this should be a gift, a free kill. Indeed it is. This is looking better and better. The individuals of Spirit Academy starting to find some space. Roman once again, 1v2, once again on this flank. First steps will be heard though. And with a flash on Zontix, this should be job done. They'll peek him together. He'll get one and done. 12-3 as we head to the half. Spirit with a late recovery. Can they get it done? We'll have to wait and see.
break up, don't speak for a couple of weeks. I'll be in his place till he calls and says he's sorry. This situation's on repeat, just like a scratch on a CD. It just gets deeper when you hit rewind. How many nights will you make this decision? Nights ending tears and it's blurring your vision. You know he don't love you, but you're holding on to. Scream through the phone even though he won't listen. So I'm still at your place, trying to make it okay. He's miles away, I'm left here in music. That you just need someone caring for you. When will you see me more than your rescue? I'm feeling kinda used, yeah, like a drug that you take when you're sick of crying all your tears away. Is that all I am? All I want is for you to be happy. You know this ain't healthy. Do I make you happy? How many nights will you make this decision? Nights ending tears and it's blurring your vision. You know he don't love you, what you holding on to. Scream through the phone even though he won't listen. So I'm still at your place, trying to make it okay. He's miles away, I'm left here in music. That you just need someone caring for you. When will you see me more than you rescue? I'm doing everything he doesn't do, but I'm still not enough. Even your parents know I'm good for you, but I'm still not enough. You wanna be done with him, you're stuck with him, 'cause you don't have the guts. And after all I've done, I'm still not enough. Still at your place, trying to make it okay. He's miles away, I'm left here in music. That you just need someone caring for you. When will you see me more than your rescue?
Well, a late resurgence stopped it from being a total wipeout in the first half, but Spirit Academy still firmly on the back foot as they head to the CT side of their map pick. 12-3 down, and with it all to play for headed into this pistol.
I mean, even with the pistol round, it'll be a long road ahead of them, but yeah, as you said, it's definitely needed if they want any hope at all. Spotting quite a bit of presence down at the bottom of the B ramp here. I mean, it's still very early on, so Saw in theory could abandon this play, so I don't think they're fully committing to the rotate, but they're sending a couple over to help out Baz, who's gonna need to put in a strong hold of his own. He's able to take one with him, but that is all, leaving Artfrost now on the back of the bomb site, smoked off and forced out of the way, as the bomb should be allowed to plant here without too much trouble. Although Softic looks tempted to maybe try and do something around the smoke there.
He's thinking about it. He's thinking about being cheeky. Will use the generator to give himself half an angle to play with here. Shadow spotted. He knows there's a man close, but it's an awkward fight for him. A lot of angles. He'll get his man. First frag found. There is a man holding the flank still, but it's going to be all coming out from the mid play. They're pushing on in, but they're stuck at this generator. Saw giving them very little to work with, and the trades once again are solid. Saw have been so good at finding those trade kills and just keeping themselves in the ascendancy once they've got the opening. Seeing it once again here as 13-3 comes about. Both teams traditionally T-sided on this map as well, which does not bode well for Spirit Academy. Likely to be 14-3 before they can buy up. And at that point, no room for any mistakes.
No, it's full pistols here as well. A single P250 upgraded, so the chances of even doing any damage are pretty slim. Saw shouldn't be troubled too much by this. like to see a gamble stack somewhere at least. They are beginning to send everyone over towards A, hoping that is where things will end.
Looks like a decent call.
Oh. Not the boost, it is just a peek straight down ramp, I believe, right there. That was doing the damage to Roman. He was a little bit confused, but U-Jerks is in position to give him some cover, taking a couple to the grave before he goes down himself. And I mean, sure, to take a bit of damage losing a couple players, but it's not too big of a deal in the long run. They are up 14-3, and they kept up the rifles as well, which was important. I think they lost a couple SMGs just.
I think they lost one AK maybe, but still a good round nonetheless. This is the problem now, right, is that it's just about getting the rounds on the board for Saw. Losing a couple rifles to those kind of buys. If it's a close game, that means something, because the economy starts to spiral out of control. You can start to, you know, really pile the pressure on your opposition. They have to rebuy, they have to make mistakes. When you're 14-3 up, that pressure is just a non-factor, realistically. All the pressure is on Spirit Academy, and they know it. These rounds going to be critical as they are just charging out onto B. Not clearing 90, will be punished. Baz now in a perfect position just to buy a little bit of space for his teammate, and that's exactly what he does. Donk, though, not quite able to finish it. Gets just the one kill, and with the mid-lurk caught out again, it's going to be bombed down. It's going to be a 2-on-3, and again, there's questions to be asked here. I mean, you're 14-3 down, but you've got to concede a save. It's a 3-on-2 against you into the B site retake. That is not going to happen. So instead, it's Sotfik and Zontix. That is a hell of a tongue twister. Looking to see if maybe there's some exit kills to be had, and indeed he has found one. Knows there's a second player there from the drop down as well. His teammate wasn't quite so far away. They might be tempted to give this one a go. They are thinking about doubling back into it, but as his teammate goes down, Sotfik changes his mind. The AWP will be saved across. They'll live to fight another day, but it's 15 on the board for Saw, 12 match points.
Yeah, on their opponent's map choice again, as a reminder. As you can see in the top left, picked by Team Spirit Academy. You wouldn't think as they're really struggling to get their feet on the ground at all here on this map. It's an okay investment, at least. I mean, they even have the op on towards Art Frost, an M4, a couple of FAMASs, and an MP9 backed up by okay utility as well. So they have some plan. If they have a plan in mind, maybe a little bit of initiative with that op backed up by some of the weaker weapons, alleviate some early pressure, give them an advantage to sit with, which is not something they've had very often. But it all looks pretty standard early on. Sontik's playing around this smoke at least, trying to pull a U-Jerks.
Yeah, trying to be proactive. You can understand it on the MP9, knowing he's got to be up close and personal to be effective. Donk has managed to get the opening battle done in towards mid, and that's going to funnel them right into this Zontix play. MP9 finds the headshot. Just goes down, and this starts to get a little ugly for Saw now. Roman, though, with the recovery and the spray transfer to buy back the 3-on-3. This round should have been done and dusted, but instead Saw continue to fight on, and they're going to put Story into the AWP. Heartfrost will get the better of him. Roman and Arisdos now left alone to recover the situation. Man inside of the site on the headshot angle will trade the death of his AWPer. And it leaves the youngster Arisdos in a 1v2. Molotov to clear out the headshot angle should force them wide into the barrel. The AWP pre-fire though not quite hitting first time. Second does, but Donk is able to punish before it gets too ugly. A fourth round, potentially just consolation, but something to work off of at the very least for the Spirit Academy.
Yeah, a little bit of life, and no matter what, this series is not over here after Vertigo. We still have at least Inferno to come, rather, so it would be ideal if they could get something going. Even if it's only 2 or 3 rounds more on top of what they have now, up to 6 or 7, at least individually they could maybe prove to themselves again that they can start winning out some of these fights, because it's going to be in your head at this point by how damn dominant this game has been. That perhaps you're just a little bit outmatched in that regard. See, Zontix is going to have some weaker weapons creeping up behind this smoke, and it is the full investment, so I do not love this. These Tech-9s and Kevlar can cause some serious damage with how aggressive Zontix currently is. Spams one down through the smoke. Has a bit of assistance from Sotfik as well, but he is overrun incredibly quickly, and with the damage already done, Zontix is in trouble as he gets finished off by the Tech-9. Smokes are down, the bomb site now under the control of Saw.
No flank either for this CT side. Again, the retake is looking very one-dimensional. Silver lining potentially is that Saw do not have any util, but With a couple of smokes, maybe, just maybe, Spirit Academy can work their way into something here. Has flashed on through, looking to pre-fire the initial angles, but yeah, Tech9 has just walked through the smoke for a backstab. The trade is good, but through the smoke, Saw will finish it. A dominant victory on their opposition's map pick. Not what we were expecting at all. 16-4, and quite frankly, just outclassing their opponents.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were both leaning towards the 2-0, but just not in that fashion. We said there's some solid individuals, and I mean, we've seen a few moments from the likes of Dunk. He clearly had his moments, for example. But we were expecting a bit more. We thought they'd be able to scrap it out towards 8 or 9 rounds at least, maybe even bring it into double digits, especially on their own map choice. That really has me worried now for how Inferno is going to play out. It is a bit more of a common map in the pool, sure. I think all the individuals at least will have had should have plenty of experience, but how are they going to play it as a team against someone like Saw, who we just seen were so well drilled there on Vertigo?
Yeah, that really did. It really was the big difference maker, right? You've got individuals, and you could see it for Spirit Academy. You could see these little half moments where a pre-fire would land or a multi-kill would come through, and you suddenly started to think, okay, this is these individuals showing up and coming to play. But Saw are just so well drilled as a roster. We say it every time we watch them. You know, they might not have the stats of the individuals to back them up, but the way they play as a team, the way they trade it through, the way their utility is used is so punishing if you don't know how to play around it. And you saw it time and time again there. The smokes were well placed, the nades got them kills, the flashes enabled multi-kills more times than I dare to count, and all of that is massively amplified on Inferno. Inferno is such a utility-heavy map, right? We talk about it time and again, how CTs have to have good economy because they have to have good util, and if you don't, you're going to be punished. So they're headed onto a map that just plays even further into the strengths of Saw, and I think they're going to have to make good use of this break, is what I'm going to say of the Spirit Academy. They are going to have to make a lot of good use of this, take a little bit of time, work out how you want to play your game, work out how you are going to come back from a 16-4 demolition job on your own map pick, and how you are going to take that Inferno. But of course, they need that break. They need a little bit of time to rest and reset before we head to map 2. So we will be throwing it, guys. Stick with us, and Inferno is up next.
You love it, you wear it. What's your style? Get your merch at shop.eslgaming.com.
don't speak for a couple of weeks. I'll be in his place till he calls and says he's sorry. This situation's on repeat, just like a scratch on a CD. It just gets deeper when you hit rewind. How many nights will you make this decision? Nights ending tears and it's blurring your vision. You know he don't love you, what you holding on to. Scream through the phone even though he won't listen. So I'm still at your place, trying to make it okay. He's miles away, I'm left hearing you say that you just need someone caring for you. When will you see me more than you rescue? I'm feeling kinda used, yeah, like a drug that you take when you're sick of crying all your tears away. Is that all I am? All I want is for you to be happy. You know this ain't healthy. Do I make you happy? How many nights will you make this decision? Nights ending tears and it's blurring your vision. You know he don't love you, what you holding on to. Scream through the phone even though he won't listen. So I'm still at your place, trying to make it okay. He's miles away, I'm left hearing you say that you just need someone caring for you. When will you see me more than you rescue? I'm doing everything he doesn't do, but I'm still not enough. Even your parents know I'm good for you, but I'm still not enough. You wanna be done with him, you're stuck with him, 'cause you don't have the guts. And after all I've done, I'm still not enough. Still at your place, trying to make it okay. He's miles away, I'm left hearing you say that you just need someone caring for you. When will you see me more than you rescue?
Inferno, the second map of the series, and Spirit Academy needing to make a vastly different impression with their CT side here, starting at least CT side Inferno to maybe get a little bit of that momentum back. There's something sure needs to change compared to map 1, dude.
Yeah, I'm not so sure starting on the on CT is going to be a massive help, though. Saw will have the chance to set the pace here, and certainly a scary position to be in. And Saw also heavily T-sided on this map. As I say that, though, Artfrost with 4 kills as he comes through the apartments. What the hell? Roman pulled back 1, but that is all he's allowed. It's all headshots from Artfrost, the upper. Might even be the ace still to come as he takes that final fight, and there you go, spams it down. It's not the headshot. Disappointing, Artfrost, I joke. Good ace, though, and a big opportunity for Spirit Academy now as they take the pistol round here on Inferno. Saw are heavily T-sided, as I was trying to get into a moment ago, like 65% of their rounds on the T side. On the other hand, Spirit Academy, they're pretty much 50-50 split down the middle.
Certainly does open up the possibility. Force buy will come in, even without that bomb plant going down. It's Tech9s and Util. And a heavy heavy-handed play up Banana to start things off. U-Jerks opening the account with a spammy Tech 9. Has managed to take the first scalp, and this is not the best of buys in the world to try and come up against this with. Sotfik finds himself with just a P250. One rifle in the hand of Zontix. Spirit Academy, they wanted to play heavily into the SMGs. They wanted to farm up some cash, and it does leave them just a little bit vulnerable up against this kind of a buy. Roman trading with the recovered Fabas, brings it into a 3-on-3, but a lovely little timing from Sotfik almost nets the double. Instead, it's just one kill, and that leaves Zontic on 14 HP with a huge decision to make. He's thinking about it. He faces the smoke. He'll only get one. Arazdos, the headshot not necessarily required, but found nonetheless as he barges into a 1v1. Art Frost has a lot of advantages to play with, though. More health, good utility. It's not a great plant either for Arazdos. He's considering all possibilities, but it leaves him vulnerable to a timing, and oh my goodness, they pass just about. Arazdos now on a single point of health, has to swing it down. And it will be the recovery from Art Frost. It will be the second round. It is hugely expensive from the Spirit Academy, though. And with the bomb going down on top of that, Saul might be wanting to risk it again.
Yeah, I mean, very potentially, as you said, with how close it comes, with the fact that Art Frost is the only one standing, the reinvestment's going to cost the Spirit Academy everything. But I do think pistols and body armor might be the way to go, because they have 2,900 loss bonus. They're still going to be able to then buy into the following round. They could have kept the damage on, but no, they want to go fully for it. It's Galils, it's AKs, it's not bad. And considering the performance they just gave us on Vertigo, it makes sense that they're willing to put in this risk, that they have the confidence in themselves. If it backfires, though, Spirit Academy will get a really good opportunity to start building up the CT side early on.
Big swing early on in proceedings. A lot of momentum shifting. As you said, a golden opportunity for the Spirit Academy. Take some of the pressure away. Banish some of the nightmares of Vertigo. Definitely looking rejuvenated so far here on Inferno. Seen some of those individuals starting to come to play. Art Frost on the pistol, especially looking very solid. Can they continue it is the question. Art Frost does have his favoured AWP out towards A long on a good angle. Fortunately, going to have his vision blocked by Muterus, and the timing a little bit nasty for him as they work their way into the bracket. HE is good. Huge damage found, and a heavy-handed rotation called in from the CT side as well. U-Jerks just playing for the info, but it looks like they still want this A-site commit, and it is going to be into the stack, or is it? A second round of smokes goes through, a little bit of spam to keep them honest, but all the while, Sora calling the bluff. They're doubling back. It is just going to be Muterus. They've got to speed this up now. Sotfik knows that this is coming. He knows exactly what's about to happen. Tucks himself in behind the new boxes. Has to play for time. Has to play for space. One flash on Art Frost to potentially get him out. And he finds his kill. Donks Molly grabs another, and this is falling apart for Sora. Arazdos again asked to clutch, this time in a 1v3, and the bomb out in no man's land. It's another round that goes the way of Spirit, and like you said, Dean, these repetitive force buys are going to start doing some serious damage to the economy of Saw.
Yeah, especially now that Spirit Academy actually got a slightly cleaner round themselves, keeping 3 standing. This time it is definitely just pistols and Kevlar, I'd imagine, as I had hoped they'd kind of go forward in that previous round. And perhaps a quicker play, so just straight up and into a bomb site, because playing it out slower there in the last couple of rounds, they've been going for a lot of individual plays and getting picked off. I think perhaps slightly underestimating Spirit Academy at this point, after how easy, I suppose, Vertigo did go for them.
Definitely feels that way a little bit, doesn't it? Just seeing those individuals from the Spirit Academy start to get online now.
Like it's Saw. How often does Saw go for the 2 force buys in a row? You would not normally see them do that.
Yeah. Taking the pause as well here, just to reset mentally. Give themselves an opportunity to think through how they want to play out this first half. As you said, heavily T-sided. Not something you normally see on Inferno. Admittedly, only 7 maps played in the last 3 months, so that can tend to skew the statistics ever so slightly. Half by here, Tex again, P250. And an early pick for Art Frost. Roman jumping across, but still plucked out of the sky, and that's a lovely opening to find. Thinning the numbers early against this half-buy.
I mean, they do at least get the banana control now for themselves, but I'm not sure how much of a help it's going to be. Somewhat limited utility, a couple of smokes and flashes. They're just going straight into B. Okay, got completely blinded up. Is in the crossfire. His teammate from second oranges, but they're only able to get the one kill. Those flashes were perfect, allowing those Tech9s to close in the distance as Mutrus adds a little bit more with the AK before taking a leg shot from the op and just about hanging on to life for now. If he went down, they would instantly be going for a 2-on-2 retake, but I think right now they might be considering perhaps saving, waiting, hoping someone's going to show themselves that they can maybe force a play to come in. But if they don't get an entrance soon, then this is going to be a tough retake. And unfortunately, as Mutrus gets another kill, I don't think they have much of an option at all. Save that up, get that into the next round. Artfrost still yet to die. It should remain like that for the moment.
Nice find from Saw. That again, just using the utility well, right? You saw it. The flashes consistently keeping the player on site blinded. As you said, the crossfire was there. They were ready for that exact situation. Zarfrost picks one more off towards the death, but with the flashes over the top, no vision available. Just not able to hold their crossfire. The Tech9's overwhelmed the site, and it's Saw with a bit of a miracle round, and it's a pretty impressive, significant one as well, because Spirit Academy, you know, we talked about how those first initial back and forth force fires, the economy was not great for them. And you're starting to see the consequences here. Despite a couple of rounds keeping 3 players alive, one round, one half buy going against them, and suddenly they're down onto the pistols. Artfrost, of course, saving that AWP, but other than that, a menagerie of upgraded pistols. As Artfrost looks to try and get that ult to go to work early on. Flashed off his first angle of choice. Story very nearly lands the shot as well. And that will be banana control conceded for now.
Rough. Still a lot of time for Saw to work with, so they don't have to force this in towards B at all, especially with Arrows still actually pressuring around A over there, throwing some smokes down, probing about on mid and seeing that there's really not much going on. That should give them an indication that it definitely could be a bit of a stack towards B.
They're thinking about it. They're thinking about chancing their arm here. I think because the AWP's here, maybe presuming that this one isn't the stack site, and there is a lot of bodies here ready and waiting. Artfrost finds one. Still alive towards backside with that AWP, still with support. He needs to land the shot and just can't quite catch Roman in transition. That could have got dangerous. You could see it. Story down on 3. Mutrus half HP. The shot's just not quite landing, however. And for Baz, last man up. Exits would be great. I mean, that run and gun Tech9 is certainly capable of dealing with Story on just 3 points of health. He's going to have to get out of there sharpish. And yeah, just hoping maybe there's something to be found. Mutrus backs his teammate up, though. It's a second round on the board for Saw, and it's a little bit of a resurgence on that T side. It's not going to get easier, though. Force Buy should be coming through now. There's decent economy for most of the Spirit Academy players.
Yeah, I mean, there's an MP9 in there, but it's Inferno. It's a weapon you can make work. Plenty of close range positions. Bit of utility as well behind it. Importantly, they do have a kit also towards Dunk, so it's an okay buy, but it's also in a very crucial swing round where if they lose this, Saw start to get a lead going, and then they start building towards that T side that we're expecting of them, considering it is the stronger of the 2 halves for them. So ideally, Spirit Academy would like to get back into their winning ways here and build up as many CT rounds as possible. Ronaldo Saw in again, a fairly standard default. Didn't get challenged much around Banana. Already have a few players pressuring in on mid with the smoke on long, just ensuring that Spirit Academy don't have a lot of info about what's going on. And because of that, they've actually risked 3 players over towards B, which doesn't look like the correct call.
It's a bit of a gamble. You see it on Inferno. When these teams don't quite have enough understanding of what's going on, they're forced to change things up. They are going for the play, though. They're pushing through Banana, taking that control. U-Jerk's now tagged down desperately low. Should be a freebie, and indeed he is through the wall. That's going to have to increase the pace here from Saw, or is it? They're thinking about doubling back. They're thinking about catching the rotation. They're a man down, though, and this starts to get a little dangerous. Sotfix spotted. Picks the smart decision. Nails it. Flies up Banana. Roman is desperate to try and hunt down at least a trade, and he does find it. That will drag the rotations back, but Baz, in the meanwhile, has dealt with the apartments play. And this one is starting to splinter. It's starting to crack for Saw. Mutrus spotted out on short. The rotation's still a little way away, but that bomb is going through the apps. And that still needs to be cleared with 25 seconds on the clock. Baz is in a perfect position. The crossfire with the site player in Zontix. This is going to be a very tough one for Saw to break as they look to swarm on in. There's the freebie, there's the double up. And for the AWPer, there's nothing he can do. That is much more like it from the Spirit Academy.
Yeah, that is not the type of round we were seeing at all from them on Vertigo. They weren't able to lock down any of these rounds and completely shut it out at any point. They were always kind of just scraping one by. So it is good to see that they're finding definitely better form here on Inferno. The buy still in play for Saw. They built up a little bit of economy throughout those couple of rounds. They have their op, AKs, everything they could ask for, really. They need to win out this one, otherwise they're looking at an Eco Spirit Academy would have a chance to go up 6-2, and at that point I'd start believing that maybe we could still be seeing that 3-map series, even if it is still relatively early days. Going crazy from Spirit Academy, 3 towards B early on, just to put that bit of presence with utility. Didn't actually show the 3 of them or try and take a peek or anything, but just in case the quicker push came in from Saw as a change of pace. They are rotating Zontics back over though.
I like the call. They can trust Art Frost. 10-1 at the moment. He's been flying on the AWP. Allow him to play a very proactive angle on long, still peeking in now. Backing up his supporting player in Baz, and that allows for this 3-man stack to come into play over towards the B side. Missed shot from Story, and there's a lot of bodies here and waiting. Sophic over top of the smoke has found one. Art Frost has picked off the lurk, and this is falling apart. 3 men left. How do you even try and get back into this round is the question. They've left Story posted for any re-aggression, but with nothing coming through, I think they're going to have to call the save at this point. A 5th on the board for the Spirit Academy, and it's just the individuals. They're just winning their 1v1s in a way we didn't really see on map 1. Saw not quite leveraging that utility in the same manner, not quite breaking open the fights as they need to. A 5th round on the board, a 3-man save called, and this is looking much more like it from the Academy side.
Yeah, this is nuts. I mean, I thought Saw were going to fare pretty well here. They had a win over Astralis only like less than 2 weeks ago, like 12 days ago or something. So 16-8 over Astralis, and at the moment they're struggling to really get on their feet here in the early stages. Forced to save a few weapons at the very least, and U-Jerks, he actually has some money already, so they might be able to work out this buy. He's only got 3650. He had a bit more. I mean, it's a rough one. Do you want to force around these weapons or not? You get 2900 loss bonus, so even with the bomb plant, most of the other players would only be just about scraping out their buys, so they do just want to get out that Tech 9 and do what they can here with the saved weaponry. It does make sense, but it's also, again, risky. They're throwing all their eggs into the one basket, rather.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about that Astralis victory. That was a 12-round T side for Saw. It's a common theme over most of their victories. 11 rounds when they beat Eyeballers. Sangal, the one exception. So this is going to be ringing some alarm bells for Saw. I think especially with the individuals from the Spirit Academy starting to come online, starting to get warm. Starting to see what they're capable of, and that T side will lend itself to these individuals. In need of a little bit of a fight back here. 3 save rifles form the backbone of it. As you said, it's not the greatest of forces. Your hands are tied, though. With 3 players not getting any cash from the round previous, you're going to have to invest to get on their level. And oh my goodness, the nade damage is huge. Sophic taking full advantage. U-Jerks an attempted boost to try and get him over the top of the smoke, but it's been read like a book. Once again, the man advantage in these opening moments goes the way of the Spirit Academy. Complete opposite of Vertigo, and again, Saw are forced to try and think on their feet.
Yeah, fighting off the back foot, not something they really had to do on map 1. Already in a very difficult 4-on-5 here with the damage done onto Muterus. He's an easy spam through the smoke. Might be a follow-up as well. Roman already tagged heavily if he comes through the smoke. Zontix is ready for it. Art Frost added another kill to his tally in the meantime as he heads up towards 12. 7 kills, I think, now on this up, and obviously the pistol ace he got earlier. So he really is popping off, and on the other hand, everyone on Saw seems to be pretty much asleep right now.
Yeah, just looking very blunt. Getting caught off guard on timings, losing their fights. Story thinking about saving this AWP. It's going to be put under pressure, though. Should see Spirit Academy taking this one away. He's going to get at least a kill. Second on the flying peak, but surely he doesn't expect the man coming in from spawn now. Drops down. Free backstab for Sotfik. 6-2 the scoreline. Half buy to follow for Saw. This is starting to go very badly wrong for them.
Gotta be worried if you're a Saw fan right now. This has been a massive drop-off from map 1. They're like, you know what? We'll destroy each other on our map chases. Why not? As Pistols and Kevlar, at least they're afforded. A few nades, nothing really special. Saw are finally aiming towards getting as strong of a buy as they can in this next round. But it's going to be 7-2 already for Spirit Academy. Which means at most, Saw aiming towards 8, which is... I mean, it's still a good T-side, but considering how T-sided they are, I think 9 or 10 would have been their early goal.
At least. This one feels like it's a goner again. Roman, yes, he gets 1 kill, but immediately the trade is there. And, well, this CT side is just perfectly placed to deal with everything that's thrown at them. Arazdos, whilst he gets out the apps, the bomb is down in mid, and they know there's somebody lurking around. Frost will put his man down. A 5-round lead, and this needs a very rapid turnaround. You know, normally, as you said, this isn't so bad on Inferno. You could see a way back on Inferno, but Saw, we can't emphasize this enough, hugely T-sided in their victories. Hugely T-sided in their victories. So to be going down in this kind of manner is very concerning.
I mean, in fairness, I do still think Saw are a much more well-coordinated team in general. They're just struggling to get past this op and some of the individuals that are waking up. But the op won't have the same presence on the T side. Will he be able to keep that up with a rifle? Will he be able to have still some solid rounds on the op? And will his teammates step up and take a little bit of that weight as well as the question? So I do think maybe 6 or 7 could be enough for Saw. But how they've been playing so far, that could still be a pretty big challenge to reach.
They're getting red as well at the moment. You're seeing it with the banana play.
Ouch.
They're going to work into the banana control through Donk and Artfrost. So Saw once again going to be put on a timer here. It has to be fast. Out into the A site they fall, looking to take the mini pit control. They know there's a man in pit, but the damage done on this crossfire is huge, and Baz takes full advantage, doubles up his account. Finally, they find a couple of picks on Saw, and it buys them a 3-on-3. U-Jerk's down low. Some decisions to be made now for the CT side. There is 1 smoke left. That has gone out now. That locks out long for another 10-15 seconds. The HE won't quite find its mark, and Story will get the better of his opposition Orpa at long last. Artfrost goes down, and that may well be enough to concede the save on the CT side of things indeed. As Donk looks to hide away in towards the B site, Sotfik just playing for exits, just seeing if there's a little bit more he can drag out of this one. But the fast B pop, after some initial issues, just about manages to land a 3rd round in the bag for Saw. But every round they are getting on this T side is scrappy. It's nowhere near the kind of coordination we saw from them on Vertigo. It's looking very, very rough as those individuals, as you said, it's Baz inside of the pit, just constantly throwing spanners in the works of their executes.
Sorry. I had something in my throat or something. I don't know. Weird coughing fit. Hopefully Saw aren't going to be choking like I was. Because that is the first of a few rounds that they need in a row to really get anything going here on this D side. Eric Frost, 14-3. What a game he's been having. And he doesn't want to calm down. Nearly found that shot while blinded. Coming down to the timing. Importantly though, still escapes. Puts a little bit of pressure on Saw. Make sure they're working for this bit of ground that they want to cover. Same to be said over towards Banana, where the utility is slowing them down and getting control.
Not often that you see a CT side winning the utility battle, but that's the state of Saw's economy. Plenty of nades available for these CTs, managing to isolate some fights. Unfortunate not to have a couple of picks already. They are starting to run low now. Just a handful of smokes remaining, as Saw have managed to survive the opening 45 seconds without taking any casualties. And they can start to enact their plans on this round. It's once more a heavy stack over towards this B site. 3 players presence, including the AWP. As it's Baz and Zontix, the 2-man hold out on A. With 45 seconds left, Saw don't necessarily look committed to this yet. The bomb is here. But 2 players still lurking out towards Banana, still options available, and Saw really have no information on what's happening here. Orp on the angle will be flashed off. They now at least know where Artfrost is placed, and I think that's going to be enough for them to reconsider and for them to change the plan and go full into this A-site crossfire. Baz and Zontix once again with a lot to do. Playing an off angle in towards the grave. Artfrost has dealt with the lurk beautifully, and this one once again falls apart in the hands of the crossfire. They can't do anything about Baz. He's sat there consistently finding damage, and as the trade comes through, it's another masterstroke from the Spirit Academy. That's a 2-on-4 hold of the A site, and they have orchestrated it to perfection.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they all swapped names, and Saw actually Spirit or something with how coordinated they're playing in comparison. It's Saw that looked completely lost and just weren't expecting this. I mean, fair enough, they don't have the most reps on Inferno. I think they've only played it like maybe a little bit less than 10 times over the past 3 months. I'm not looking at their stats right now, but somewhere around there. But they have good wins. As we said most recently, 16-8 versus Astralis. Right now, they are just not getting going at all. Individual rounds as they get broken time and time again and get just relegated down to these weaker buys. It is not a fun place to be in. Because again, they just are forced to wait out the utility from the CT side early on.
Seem to have found their kryptonite in CIS youngsters. Donk swings wide for an early peek, gets 2 before he's traded, and once again, that's a good opening return from the CT side. Smoke goes down and through it. Zontix on the timing finds another huge pick to leave Roman and Muteris picking up the pieces. A Molotov goes down. That stops their entry. Roman has managed to thread the needle just a little bit, but the timing's not good for him. Zontix spots it. Calls his Orpa back to clear his corners. There's the freebie and Muteris. I mean, what do you do at this point? 50 seconds. You've only got Galil to work with. You know there's an Orp here, and Artfrost, even as he looks to come off the angle, more than happy to flick back on it for a 9th round. Another half by to follow. Saw honestly in tatters on this T side. Just seems like the kryptonite to their style of play is these individuals, right? 17-3 for Artfrost inside of 12 rounds. He is single-handedly picking them apart.
Yeah, I mean, this is surprising. I was looking at Artfrost as definitely one of their stronger players. We were unsure. I mean, I think it's Donk, Artfrost, and Zontix who all have really strong stats. But again, we were mentioning that it is mostly against those lower level teams. So it can be hard to gauge how they're going to perform when they come up against the likes of Saw, who more stable roster, who don't necessarily always rely on that firepower and can beat you down in other ways. But that's not coming together for them right now. And it's allowing Artfrost to have free reign with this up 17-3. Everyone else, they're doing okay, but they're mostly just chilling. They haven't been needed as much. We're getting back into it. 9-3. Saw need at least 2 of these final 3 rounds to have a position that they can recover from in that second half, and even then it's going to be an uphill battle for sure.
And this one's only a half by. Spirit Academy by and large have been dealing with handily. Muteris tagged up in the opening seconds. Again, look at this re-aggression. Spirit Academy, as soon as a portion of map is vacated, they're back here. Aristos has managed to find a pick, though, and this is an isolated fight inside of the A site now. Baz, in the pit, does very well to land an early headshot, and he's still here and kicking, drops his smoke, buys himself just a little bit of space. The Molotov won't quite land right, and Baz able to take full advantage for a second. That's bombed down as he finds 3. He is tearing it apart, buying so much time for his rotations. And that one early pick onto the Orpa is all they get. It was a one-man hold inside of the A site, and Baz has done it again, stepping up and finding a huge round for his team.
Yeah, I mean, this is just nuts. I could not have predicted this this performance right now after Vertigo ended. Again, very possible Saw could come back to life, but now or never, really. Changing grenades again around Banana. They're not pretty crazy. They haven't bothered with the 3-man stack around Banana too much anymore either in the early stages, because they've been able to hold it off with the 2 of them usually with just a few nades. They have Saw intimidated, which is very surprising.
Seems like all their form has abandoned them, rather.
Jerk's having a rough game as well in comparison to the performance he put in on Vertigo. It's certainly not helping.
Question is, what's the call to change the picture? Because again, look at the control this CT side have got. Heavy banana take. Jerks not quite able to land his headshot. Now going to be put under pressure with 2 angles still being held. An AWP and a rifle posted top B. He's going to be flashed around this corner. Needs an early kill. Molotovs all over the shop to try and isolate these fights. But Donk, again, has dealt with the B-lurk brilliantly. Buterus and a Roman doing what they can to recover the situation. A couple more big picks. But once more, it's Baz. He's been an absolute hero inside of this A site. He's got an early kill already. Knows to pivot. Knows exactly where the head is going to be. And it's Baz with a triple lockdown inside of the A site. Make it. Oh, why not? That is disgusting from the CT AWPer.
Where the hell was all of this on Vertigo? I just don't understand. They seem like a completely different team. I don't even remember any of Baz's kills on Vertigo. It seems like he never really came alive, and now he's just popping off out of nowhere. 15 and 6. He wants to put himself ahead of Artfrost even. He's got a little bit of work to do to catch up still, but having 2 players in the driver's seat like this for Spirit Academy individually with no one really coming to life on Saw. It's just destruction. Good nade. That should do some decent damage. Does indeed on towards Dunk and Sotfik. Unfortunately, 3 kills have come in the meantime, so doesn't matter. No. Sotfik even burned one alive at the bottom of Banana as he took that kill around the half wall. A little bit more damage on the Mutrus as he starts to burn as well. So Story's the only healthy player left standing.
Yeah, they tried for the B play.
Gonna happen.
Tried for the B play. Demolished on entry, and at this point just being picked off through the smokes. It's only a matter of time. Muterus 34 health left. A disastrous T side coming through from Saw. We thought Vertigo was bad. This is looking worse. Such a T side leaning team, and they've done absolutely nothing. 12-3. Spirit Academy firmly in the driving seat as we head to the break.
don't speak for a couple of weeks. I'll be in his place till he calls and says he's sorry. This situation's on repeat, just like a scratch on a CD. It just gets deeper when you hit rewind. How many nights will you make this decision? Nights ending tears and it's blurring your vision. You know he don't love you, hurt you holding on to. Scream through the phone even though he won't listen. So I'm still at your place, trying to make it okay. He's miles away, I'm left here with you. Say that you just need someone caring for you. When will you see me more than you rescue? I'm feeling kinda used, yeah, like a drug that you take when you're sick of crying all your tears away. Is that all I am? All I want is for you to be happy. You know this ain't healthy. Do I?
Well, we didn't see that coming. Spirit woke up and chose violence. A 12-3 lead as they head to the T side of Inferno. And a pistol that becomes absolutely essential if Saw have ambitions of closing this in two. Early util. A little bit piecemeal. Saw want to stay close on this angle top B. They want to take this fight, and it's to their detriment. Almost immediately, Artfrost finds a headshot, doubles it as well. The flash ineffective at the point for Saw, and now Roman, doing all he can, has managed to tap one out through the smoke, taking a dink in the meanwhile. Muturis through the smoke grabs a second. Saw trying to buy themselves a lifeline here. It's going to have to be the retake, though, and with no kit, this is going to have to be very swift. And look at Spirit. Look at how they're playing this. The fading smoke will lead their charge. Two quick headshots leaves Arasdos. How many times has he been in this situation? Stuck out in no man's land. He finds one. No kit is the real issue here, and they can just hide away. They know it, Spirit. They tuck tail, they run. They play the angles, play the time, and surely this one is a done deal. A second kill, but it's going to be a consolation. Arasdos having to charge around now, desperate to find this final kill. It's not to be. Sotfik plays it beautifully, and as much as he goes down, it's 13. They will not care, Spirit.
Yeah, and I mean, if we get towards Nuke, that's where it really could get exciting here as well, because Spirit Academy's got a lot of reps on it, and they've got some really solid wins as well, although their last couple of games haven't been quite as strong. Lost to Mouse Next and Copenhagen Flames. Before that, though, had been on a really solid streak. And it's certainly a map that Saw are capable of playing as well. Although they lost 16-4 to Astralis in their most recent game. So, I mean, it could be a wild map number 3. We'll have to see when we get there. There's a lot of caveats. Sure, they're usually good, but they've got both have some recent losses. Sorry, wanting to get very aggressive, desperately needing something to kick things off. Unfortunately, just loses his head to Iron Cross. Looks just as good on the rifle.
Yeah, this one is feeling very tough. Ujux does well on the jump peak to deal with Sotfik and at least buy a kill in return. Roman desperate for that rifle as well, but he's not going to be given it. Arasdos, meanwhile, has salvaged the scout up towards top of mid, but the timing, once again, just not quite there for them. Rifle's looking to take full advantage. Donk does. It's a nice trade for one from Arasdos, but now he's under pressure. Sole defender of this A site. Timings, once again, could be absolutely everything here. He needs a fast kill. He needs a fast rotation. FAMAS at least has made its way to the library, but with the smoke now coming out, it's all onto Arasdos inside of this site, and his scout reigns supreme. It has been a heavy-handed rotation. The Spirit Academy have the option to double back. And 2-on-3, they can still take this over towards B, although they're wasting a lot of time, and that's allowing for Saw to put both the CZ and the FAMAS in place to receive this.
I mean, still not going to be easy though. Arcfrost still standing. He's now alone though, and charging through the smoke. Ujerks catches his side there as he's distracted by the Coffins player. So, yeah, 13-4, a lifeline for Saw. They've come alive. Is it too late, though, is the question, because they are going to need a damn near flawless CT side here. And this is not usually the stronger of their two sides, as we pointed out before on Inferno.
Yeah, that's going to be their problem here. They have not left themselves a buffer. They have left no room for error.
I mean, again, I think it comes back to early on the economy management. They put themselves in a weird position. They don't normally go for so many force buys. And then when they just got nothing from any of them, it seemed to have demoralized them a bit. And then they were playing so timid for the rest of the half.
Yeah. Some big questions to be answered, certainly. This time, a little bit of an easier ride. The initial nades down doing huge damage, and Roman spam on the FAMAS, able to connect into an initial kill on this force buy. It is just the Deagles and Techs. A limited amount of utility. They've just about got enough smokes to plan and execute here, but no flashes to cut these rifles off the angles, and with control over towards B already lost, it becomes increasingly difficult to get anything going, or does it? Artfrost predicts the jump peak, lands his shot. Roman, however, won't let that be in vain. 2 quick kills will surely gut this round of any possibility, and Zontix just left looking for exit to kill, to maybe dent the economy a little more on the source side of things, but it's going to be a 5th round on their way.
Nice work by Story. Bit of damage, but I think a little came out on top. They keep 4 standing, only losing U-Jerks. Ideally, though, we want U-Jerks to find some form again, though, as he is one of the players we look towards for frags. Alongside Story, who hopefully can come alive as well. Now that he's on the CT side as well. They have a chance to get the up going at some point, but they do need to win enough rounds to make sure that happens, ideally, without losing a lot against these weaker pistols as well. It's only Glocks for now, I believe. 1 Deagle. Iron Frost is invested into. Makes sense. He's been having such a great game. May as well get a pistol in there to see if he can collect a few headshots and do some damage.
Yeah, this should be the round to farm up. Story playing close in towards Boiler. Should be in a decent position to cut this one out. And comes in, multiple bodies there. It will only be the 1-for-1, and this still has the potential to get a little bit dangerous, as we said, but Muterus trying to make sure no old demons are resurrected here. Finds a couple of very quick headshots, and with that MP9 going down 1-for-1, it does raise the question of that AWP. Like you said, 4750 might just about be able to bring it out as the rifles come out for the Spirit Academy. Donk, though, has caught himself a timing, and he's managed to double it. Luckily for Saw, there's a 3rd man under the porch, but that could have gone oh so desperately wrong, and it's huge economic damage as well. A couple of 1-deags out of that pistol. And it leaves some big questions to be asked. It will be a heavy-handed reinvestment from Saw. Story will be able to get that big green gun dropped across to him. And this is the first of a very great many swing rounds needed for Saw if they are to pose a realistic comeback threat here on Inferno.
Yeah, it's doable, though. I mean, in most cases, I would say the CT side is probably where you'd want to make the comeback happen. Considering the T side is so bad, maybe they're just great at CT today on the Inferno, who knows. U-Jerks burning in the background, I think, as Roman pushes down Banana. A little bit unfortunate, but they do at least get that control. We didn't see a lot of this from Spirit Academy. It wasn't necessary. The nades were usually keeping them at bay, and even when the hit was coming into the bomb site, they were just so good at locking it down.
It is bleeding a lot of util out of this CT side, though. You can see Muterus rotating around to give a few more nades potentially, but they are going to have to bail out of that control. With 1 minute and 10 on the clock, so still plenty of time for the retake should Spirit Academy want to give it a go. And it's a heavy-handed stack over towards this B site from Saw, with no utility to stall out a B play should it come through. Roman is completely out on an island, so they can't afford to leave him there for too long. Have to double back, and they're actually going to go heavy. Muterus will make the rotation. Still no utility. It's going to be guns blazing or die trying over towards B, if they even get the chance, because for now, Spirit Academy have doubled back. They've worked their way into this A site, and it is just 2 men standing, Story and Arazdos, who will have to pull off the heroics here. Smokes go out, counter molly should be good, but a missed shot. And now the punishment surely starts to come through. They wrap on into the site, and it's 2 quick kills. The AWPer out in no man's land, not left a chance in hell. 3 lightning quick headshots. The round is a goner. It's 14 on the board for the Spirit Academy, and surely that begs to bring Nuke into the question.
I mean, they just get rolled over as soon as the guns come out. Just wondering if this is the sort of Spirit Academy that we can expect to normally see, or is it somewhere of more of a middle ground between these last 2 maps? So I'm super impressed by Artfrost, but I doubt this is a pace he can keep up on every map. We've seen Baz have his moments. Donk looked pretty good on Vertigo and has had a few moments here as well. Sotfik, we know he's a capable player, so I mean, to me this lineup looks to show a lot of promise. As potentially the last full gun round now is going to be coming in for Saw, and even then it's got some weaknesses potentially to it. They had to drop the weapons around to just about get what they need, and even then there's one FAMAS in there, I believe. It's not too big of a deal, but again, this is their last opportunity to lose this. They have a lot less to try and fight for the overtime.
Do or die time. Saw's diminishing CT side. How much can they get done? How much resistance can they put up? Because, you know, as much as we're talking about Artfrost and how much impact he can have, CT Nuke with an AWP, huge potential. If he can have that kind of impact, CT Inferno, there's no reason it can't be the same. And that will start to send shivers into the bones of Saw. These are the kind of rounds, even if you're not going to plot that comeback, even if you are going to go to that third map, these are the rounds that build confidence. Reel it in a little bit. Show Spirit Academy you are not just going to lie down. And this is not just going to be a smooth ride through to the finish. As they group over towards B, just leaving Baz on the lurk again. And once more, it looks like the right call because there's just 2 players inside of this B site. Muteris is making the rotation, but once more, Saw find themselves out of util. And with Baz picking off Arazdos in his bedroom aggression, that's going to drag the rotation back just in time for the full-blooded execute to head straight into this site. There is a smoke, a little bit of something for Roman to play around, but he's lost all his support. Gets one, has to fade back through the CT smoke, gets a little bit of damage. Wants to recover a fallen rifle, but that leaves him oh so vulnerable. Doesn't realize the smoke has already gone. Donk gets his gift. It's 15. The save is called to try and give some kind of bite to the final round, what will surely be the final round on this second map. But the Spirit Academy, they keep on marching. They are flying right now.
Yeah, this is nuts. We're going to be moving on to Nuke pretty soon. And I mean, I want to say Spirit Academy should be looking like the favourites, but we've seen how much Saw dropped off between maps, so anything is possible. Perhaps they'll find some of that form again. It's an interesting story. You save 2 weapons forward. They don't have the loss bonus to drop over to the rest of them, so pistols and Kevlar most likely, maybe an MP9 or 2. It's a very rough position to be in.
Not the buy that you want to be protecting map point on your map pick with, is it? It's an ugly one. They take the time out. Hoping maybe just to slow the avalanche. As you said, it's just, you know, any resistance at this point. The amount of confidence this should give the Spirit Academy heading into that third and decisive map of Nuke, a map that up until recently they have been using as a consistent first pick. So a map they should be feeling all the confidence in the world that they can get over the line. And to get there, we've got an AWP, an M4 saved, 2 MP9s and a Deagle protecting it. Saw really have fallen by the wayside and they need something. They need some kind of pick-me-up to give them that bit of faith headed into the decisive map that they can pull it back. Early run boost for Story just to gather information. Nothing seen, nothing gained. And again, an early pick. Artfrost getting the better of his AWPing opposition once more. 23-8. Electric from the T-side AWPA, as now the pressure continues to mount. The bracket control is taken, and this awful, awkward bye goes from bad to worse. The limited utility that the CTs have had has been bled out by that opening pick and aggression. And now with just a handful of nades, they've got to defend against what can quite happily be a full-blooded execute. Bracket control is being taken. At the very least, Saw have stacked it correctly. At the very least, they've got all their eggs in the right basket for now. Can they find anything at all? Zontic's on the pre-fire. Thins the numbers ever further. Muterus trying to be the blocker, trying to do everything he can to turn this one. But it's still a 3-on-4, and still this A site looks to be punished. Sotfik will be tested out long. Muterus with another big kill, and suddenly we are back even. The scales have righted, but they've left their AWPA so damn isolated. They try and rotate to B. Instead, it hangs Arasdos out to dry, and that's a free A site. The utility goes down. This time, the retake will have to be attempted for Saw, but how can they break in? The afterplants are established. The positions are good. The smokes will even allow the AWP to retreat to the relative safety of short, and with a player in apps, a player in the mini pit, I mean, the apps player's even got the safety to drop out, drop a nade, chip away even further at this CT side. Missed timing, but Artfrost is there. He's so willing to swing back in. He ends 25-8. It's Spirit dominating on their opposition's map pick of Inferno. We've flipped the script completely and utterly here. Saw dominate Vertigo. Team Spirit Academy dominate Inferno. And Nuke is left to separate these two rosters. This game, I can't even begin to predict where that final map is going to go.
Yeah, I mean, we did say it was slightly weird the way the map choices went when we were kind of breaking down the veto initially, but I didn't expect it to go like this. I didn't expect them to take each other's map choices so dominantly, and, well, yeah, to leave us now completely puzzled as to how Nuke is going to play. Well, I'm not too sure. I mean, looking at a Spirit Academy, they have a few more reps. They have slightly better they do have the better stats as well, but again, against some lower level teams overall, and recently they've had a slightly mixed results with a couple of losses in there, but then also Saw lost pretty heavily to Astralis. I mean, it's Astralis, fair enough, lost 16-4 there, but only a couple of days before that had beat out Ents just as heavily, 16-6 themselves. So I guess it depends which Saw is going to show up, which Spirit Academy is going to show up. We've seen two faces to both of them already in only 2 maps.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've seen both sides of the coin, haven't we? We've seen how Saw's utility across Vertigo, how their versatility, how their team play can handily win the maps. And then we've seen the exact opposite. We've seen how Spirit's individuals, their talent, their aggression, their proactivity can dismantle the play before Saw can really put it together. And it is now a question of, headed into that final map, who's going to come out, who is going to bring that A game, and who's going to be falling onto the back burner once again, because Nuke is a perfect middle ground for this. There is huge opportunities for a CT AWP. There is huge opportunities for individual holds and individual aggression on the T side. But there's also a huge amount of room for utility, for set plays on the T side, for counter aggression and flashes in on the CT side. So it really does feel like the perfect battleground to finish this. And we are going to have to just wait and see with bated breath which way this one will go, because we do have to throw it to a break. And when we're back, we will have a banger of a third map, I'm sure.
You love it, you wear it. What's your style? Get your merch at shop.eslgaming.com.
break up, don't speak for a couple of weeks. I'll be in his place till he calls and says he's sorry. This situation's on repeat, just like a scratch on a CD. It just gets deeper when you hit rewind. How many nights will you make this decision? Nights ending tears and he's blurring your vision. You know he don't love you, what you holding on to. Scream through the phone even though he won't listen. So I'm still at your place, trying to make it okay. He's miles away, I'm left hearing you say that you just need someone caring for you. When will you see me more than you rescue? I'm feeling kinda used, yeah, like a drug that you take when you're sick of crying all your tears away. Is that all I am? All I want is for you to be happy. You know this ain't healthy. Do I make you happy? How many nights will you make this decision? Nights ending tears and he's blurring your vision. You know he don't love you, what you holding on to. Scream through the phone even though he won't listen. So I'm still at your place, trying to make it okay. He's miles away, I'm left hearing you say that you just need someone caring for you. When will you see me more than you rescue? I'm doing everything he doesn't do, but I'm still not enough. Even your parents know I'm good for you, but I'm still not enough. You wanna be done with him, you're stuck with him, 'cause you don't have the guts. And after all I've done, I'm still not enough. Still at your place, trying to make it okay. He's miles away, I'm left hearing you say that you just need someone caring for you. When will you see me more than you rescue?
All to play for as we head to our third and final map. Both teams showing the good and the bad of their respective choices. And Nuke will be the final battleground to try and separate them. Saw starting on the T side. Not the preferable choice here on Nuke, but they're going to make the most of it with a fast pop into A to open things up on this pistol. Baz out of heaven with a decent amount of positioning to try and do some kind of damage. We'll have to concede the bomb plant though, and it's going to be the retake attempt. No kit. So 30 seconds to try and get into this one, and already the afterplants are looking good for Saw. Muteris. Guts Sophic on entry. Nothing he could say or do about it. A team dink from Artfrost into his teammates back, and this, well, it feels like a lost cause already, Dean.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, this is always a very difficult retake on a pistol round, unfortunately. I mean, a flash maybe to get them out of heaven would be useful, as these Glocks are just going to rain down headshots as they try to jump forward. Santic's finally finished off after being team dinked earlier on as well, making things a little bit easier for the Glock. Dunk and Artfrost, they're just hoping for a few kills to add to the bank, I'd imagine, at this point. Dunk can continue to apply damage. I was going to say he'll have the cheap helmet upgrade, but that's not going to happen. But his Kevlar should be carried forward, and with a couple of kills, he can pull out of a mass even if he wants. We'll see whether they want the force fly or not. As Saw looked certainly rejuvenated coming in, but it's still early days. The pistol round, it can be hard to tell exactly how both teams are playing from it, so let's see what the response is now from Spirit Academy, because they do want this force spy. They seen what happened on map 1 when they let Saw get a bit of a lead going. It was hard to stop them. So they're hoping for a bit of a
arrest the momentum. Heavy util to start things off from Saw. Full outside execute is called. The wall of smokes is up. Donk with a decision to make. Has just tucked himself into the corner of Garage. Doesn't find anything with his spam though. Beatrice will be able to make his way over towards Secret and just tickling away at these pistols are Saw. Donk and Sotvic both lightly tagged. For now, the CT side happy with the position of Sotfik, that it hasn't been a lower play, so they're continuing to keep heavy aggression towards outside. Artfrost, an initial headshot, loses teammates in the meanwhile, but then blinded up through the wall, finds U-Jerks. Gives his team the man advantage to play with, and this is where the Pistols can be at their most dangerous. Saw somewhat stuck in no man's land now. Sotfik, if he can get this kill, it's on, but Story instead puts his man down. And that should open up some opportunities down towards the lower bomb site. Not that Saw are necessarily interested just yet. They're continuing to pick off these Pistols as they look to find the killer play. A couple of quick shots have brought that man advantage back for the T side. And Baz spotted out. Arasdos plays his hand far too early. Far too aggressively as well. It will be the execute into this upper site, but it's Baz continuing to find damage before he goes down, and he's bought his teammate a 1v1. Artfrost not on his favoured gun, but a scoped sniper rifle nonetheless, and he is a long way away on this rotation. He hears the footsteps. He hears exactly what's going on here. Story shifts just a little bit too late. The tag is in. Artfrost back down the ladder to connect it. That is nasty from the scout. Huge kills found in this round. And it will be the Force Spy landing for the Spirit Academy. They are not going to go quietly.
Artfrost is made of something else. He is definitely a talent to keep an eye on. 1.22 rating over the past few months as well, against pretty solid teams overall, I've got to say, and he looks to be quite consistent. I mean, he's a few bad games in here, but most of the time, if he's not having a tremendous game, he's still there and having impact, and well, he's showcasing that at the moment. Had a ridiculous performance on Inferno on the first half in particular. I think he was 22 and 6 or something at the halftime. Spirit steal it away and leave Saw in a tough position. Thankfully, with the bomb plants, they are still able to get a couple of Galils out, and Mac 10 and some Kevlar to back up, some nades rather, to back up their pistols as well. Not ideal. Pretty secure on the buy as well for Spirit Academy. They've gone heavy on the rifles and even got some upgrades already working in their favor, as all of the kills just flash up on the kill feed right there. It's all blue. I mean, we didn't really get to see any of them because they all happened so quickly in succession of each other that there was no way we could get from get the camera over to them, rather.
Demolition job. Very well dealt with. Saw wanted to go fast into that A side, but a couple of isolated 1v1s taken early on. One by Spirit.
It's all Glocks here as well, so another round with 5 alive most likely.
Huge economy builder for the CT side. Spirit are more CT leaning than Saw. Of course, playing more reps of this map will do that to you. Should be looking to take advantage, as you said. Just Glocks into this round of 5 alive would be fantastic for the CT economy moving forwards. A lovely little buffer to start working off of. And a 3-1 lead to start this one off, despite losing the pistol, would be a massive net result. That is a little awkward for the Galil though. Sotfik will have to switch out to the pistol, will go down to it. So at least a kill found on this round. It won't be much more than that, despite their best effort, despite their best dinks. It is just the one casualty, but realistically, 5 Glocks on Nuke, you couldn't ask for much more.
No, forcing a bit of reinvestment at least was solid find, considering they had literally 0 investment. Now coming onto the rifles, they need to find some life, otherwise it's potentially be a very similar looking map to what we got on Inferno. Saw just get shut out on the T side. Outside control comes in. There's a player in Garage who should be able to note, of course, that they have actually crossed at least one player down, so there's already been a rotation from Sotfik. He's gonna wait for his teammates here to join him. Mutrus not going too far forward on his own.
Oh, Story. Just unaware of the positioning, gives up a gift. And a much needed one as well. Sotfik under pressure will be able to get at least one, and Artfrost has rotated in perfectly to support. Once again blinded up. And once again through a wall. It's a demolition job. 5 alive. That was a rifle buy from Saw, don't forget. And they've been picked apart piece by piece. Just looking a little lackluster at the moment, the T side. Not quite finding the team play that we saw on map 1. The remnants of Inferno still rearing their ugly heads. Pause taken here by Saw as well, just to reconsider the situation. You know, you look at that economy without the bomb plants coming in now, it's a half buy again. And it's a half buy that, I mean, they realistically, Dean, need to be getting at least a couple of kills just to keep that CT economy honest, because you can already see it starting to wind up. And if you let them get 1-2 more rounds on the trot without losing too many players, it's going to be a tough beast to break, even if you do start coming back into this third map.
Yeah, I mean, it already is going to be. Art Frost has 10k, there's a few players in 7. Baz's economy isn't too great, but even then he's got enough for at least the one buy in the reserve, so it's going to be a tough road, as you said, for Saw to crack their way back in, especially as they're not coming onto the buy right now. They need to do some damage, as you mentioned, and hopefully start grinding out the rounds in the one following. But who knows, maybe these pistols can pick up something. A little bit less pressure on them, they might try something slightly wilder, maybe a quicker A play. Let's see what the plan is. So far, though, no matter where it goes, Spirit Academy just look like they have things on lock.
Going to use the util again just to bait out some opening fights, but the counters are good. The molly's extinguished, the space taken by the CT side as now the outside smokes look to come through. This time it is Art Frost in towards Secret, a little bit isolated, flashed out, misses his first bite at it, but will go back for more, knowing that this buy is a little more lackluster. That does leave him vulnerable though, traded by Roman. And AWP now recovered, a little bit sketchy this from the Spirit Academy. You can see they know it. Donk trying to take some map control back, trying to put some pressure back on. But there are pieces all over the shop here for Saw. Arazdos has managed to sneak his way out to the left-hand side of ramp. Zontix needs to be careful here, clears it well. A second comes in from Donk God in the meanwhile, and at this point, it is starting to look a little one-dimensional. Roman and Mutra is going to try and work it with the Deagles, not even the recovered AWP, but it's nothing more than one. And with the AWP picked up, that's not a bad net result for the Spirit Academy. They deal with the pressure well. They put Saw back onto the buy with a win in their back pocket, 5-1 up. And an opportunity here, if they win this next one, to really start accelerating away with this map already.
It's already kind of happening. I mean, I just have pure deja vu to how things went in the early stages. Art Frost, I think, went 6-0 before he died on Inferno as well. Now 7-1. He's on track to, again, have a very, very solid half. And this time he's being helped out even more so by Donk and Sotvik, who were performing as he'd gotten going a little bit earlier than he did on Inferno. So it took him a while to wake up before he started showcasing some great rounds of defense on A. As Donk now might find the spam if he catches the timing correct here, but no, he's not going to go for it. Instead, drops the nade. Doesn't do any damage, but for the moment, let's see how this plays out, because Mutris wants to creep through the smoke. He catches the player in heaven off guard, but doesn't quite get the kill. Instead, it's elsewhere that the initial frag does go the way of Saw, so they found some success. First time in a while, and I was going to say it looked like he was ready for that push from Donk, but no. Donk, who wins out the fight. Sotvik down on B is causing trouble as they push forward as well. Every inch of ground is costing them so much.
Being contested so heavily, that's bombed down as well. Arazdos takes a dink through the floor, lucky to be alive. Story will take advantage of the chaos though, finds another big kill, keeping his team halfway in this one. But look at Arazdos. He's stuck. He needs Story to do all the heavy lifting here. They've not got any utility to get him off of this high ground. And Spirit Academy know it. They're not over-peaking, they're not over-pressing. Just waiting, knowing that the next move has to be Saw's. Story knows it too. He's worked his way into an angle inside of the site to try and support his teammate. Gets teammate back down, and that's a lethal shot through the corner of the door. The smoke will now give him the room to work. Plant comes in the 2-on-2, and around the edge of the smoke, Story looks to be the hero. Instead, he's the villain. As he leaves his teammate on 10 HP in this 1v2, trying to play around the silo for all he's worth. He's spotted one, but there's just too many bodies and not enough time. The damage, sure, is significant. 3 players go down in the brawl, but it's a 6th round on the board, and the money doesn't stop rolling in for Spirit Academy. They'll be able to reinvest happily. Saw some much bigger questions to ask.
I'm not 100% sure, but was that kill that Story got, the wallbang with the op, was that in towards the vent from ramp?
Don't think so.
No? I thought that's
Not sure, though.
I got confused by the camera, the way it was swapping around. We were watching a player around there, and then instantly there was a body flying in the air, but I think that might have been just because he died right as the swap came in to him. So I got a little bit confused, but I thought he hit a mad wallbang for a moment. Either way, a pause coming in. We didn't see much of this on Inferno now that I think about it. So we're like, what? We're losing? Tactical pause who?
We didn't see much of it on the first 2 maps whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. Spirit Academy, when they were struggling just as much, if not more, on Vertigo, we didn't see them try to go for any either. So, yeah, it's been a weird one. We saw now struggling early on this T side of Nuke, realize it's going to be hard to turn things around. So, a little bit of a discussion certainly can't hurt.
Yeah, it's the intelligent thing to do. Try and work out what you haven't tried. We haven't actually seen them go towards the ramp.
Yeah, at all.
So far. It's been almost entirely outside executes or A-side
No
pops.
vent drops either, really.
No, not tried much more than that, so maybe it's time, if not this round, then the next time they're on the half-buy situation, to try something a little bit ambitious. That's an unfortunate timing for Artfrost. Unscope's right as Muterus works around the angle. But it is, again, a relatively passive set initially from the T side. Some presence shown outside. They are, however, starting to queue towards the squeaky door, and you start to think the vent drop might well be the call here. They're creeping out, though, and they're catching half a timing. Nobody's watching for this. Nobody's seeing their man. Sotfit gets 1, but it's 2 in response. Arasdos cracks open the A site. And despite all their successes, there is still a decision to be made here for the CT side. A 3-on-4 retake into the A site of Nuke is no mean feat. Nade goes in, I think, hoping that maybe they'll find some damage, an early pick to make it viable without it coming through. Surely that's it. Roman deals with Baz. And at this point, for Zontix and Artfrost, despite the economy, despite the situation, the only thing left to do is save. Saw will find their second. And finally, the A site breaks open.
Sometimes the first round can be the biggest hurdle, so hopefully this is something now that they can carry forward and start grinding something here on this T side. Or 5, maybe 6 rounds at least. Spirit Academy don't want a few more on top of what they've currently got for sure. The problem is, for Saw, that as we had mentioned before, Spirit Academy's economy had built up to a ridiculous position. So these buys are going to keep on coming. Even after they've fully bought up here, Artfrost still nearly has 11,000. You've got player on 7, a couple around 6 or 5. So there's plenty for at least one more buy. And even then, I mean, they'll probably at most be looking at a 1 weeker investment with some pistols and stuff before they get another really solid investment. So Saw are going to have a lot of gun rounds coming forward, and it's not going to be easy to shut them down, as Artfrost already has the initial kill. Blinded once again in towards the door, I believe that was. U-Jerks, though, with a quick frag in return, and again, they just want to run down this A bomb site. Unfortunately, despite a couple initial entries, Sotfik has something to say about that.
Story has found 2 in response, though, and it's left Artfrost in a 1v1 here. Absolute carnage, and Muterus has just dived out into the vent, I think, hoping to give himself another angle and just to use the time to put some doubt in the mind of Artfrost. It feels like Saw are playing into the strengths of Spirit Academy here, looking for the individual fights. It has bought them this opportunity, though. A lot of time still on that clock, and you can see it playing on the mind of Artfrost. He knows that with so much time, Muterus could be just about anywhere, and there are so many timings on the board now. Muterus 2 and 8. He's not had the best of starts to this T side, but could make up for it in a major way here. Artfrost clearing his way all the way through main. If he so much as scopes, the sound cue will be heard and taken. He's got his way through to Squeaky here, and Muterus, I don't think he expects this necessarily. He does, he dinks. Artfrost on 11 HP, wants the peak. Wants to go for it. The flashbang will fall the wrong side of the vent. Muterus just holds, waits. There's a game of timings, and Muterus will win it out. He had to go for the bomb at some point, but he gets the kill before his time. It's a 3rd on the board for Saw. The buys will keep on coming for the Spirit Academy, but this T side has started to click now.
Yeah, it's starting to come together. One more will potentially give them an easier time. No, never mind. Already pretty much invested fully on everyone here. Artfrost has the op on the ground as well. Yeah, so they'll still have another buy in the reserve here, but Saw are looking much, much better. They've certainly come alive, which never really happened on Inferno, if we're being honest.
Yeah, we never saw this side to them.
Together. That nade, a bit late, I think, to really do any damage. Yeah, Muterus just about makes it across. He just take a tiny bit of damage on the way down, but he has that control for them, which is the most important thing. About to be joined by a couple more who are slowly creeping across, and an initial kill from Story. Up on top of Silo, managing to win out that off battle, which was something that eluded him for pretty much the entirety of Inferno.
Caught Art Frost on the retreat and is going to force the hand of Spirit Academy. They know they need to take some control back, so aggressive through Squeaky, but Arados will be on the wrong side of the wall here, so he potentially opens up a whole nother timing for himself as Saw start to pile the pressure onto this lower site. Baz in a lot of trouble here, got many bodies headed his way, and U-Jerks plays the angles to perfection. Arados gets his backstab, and this one's fallen apart. Picked off piece by piece. That's more like it from Saw. That's what we expected to see from their T-sides. The bomb will go down on the lower site. Zomtix will look to save. It's a 4th round, though, for Saw. And their T-side of Nuke really feels like it's starting to get warmed up and find its place now. Spirit Academy, again, the pressure's just started to relieve. And Saw have taken full advantage of the space they've been given.
Yeah, Saw are actually split right down the middle on Nuke as well, 50-50 on their TNCP rounds, which is kind of surprising. Spirit Academy a little bit more normal, kind of like 60-40. CT side, that is. You see them ideally coming out with 9 or 10 here. At the moment, Saw are coming alive and making that look like it's going to be a very difficult challenge to make happen. Again, one more buy in the reserve. They do finally have the loss bonus building up as well, so it'd only be the 1 eco and they'd get another really good buy afterwards if they need to, but at that point then their lead will be gone from them most likely, so they do want to try and make it work now and start building up towards what could still be a 10 or 11 round half if they can just turn the lights back on. Limited utility though.
Looking for B, very aggressive with this one, and oh, 2 line up, none go down. It's a trade for 1 at least from Sopvik. Barasdos on the low HP will just grab himself that dropped AWP. And Saw will take that one every day of the week. Desperately close, Baz, on the initial play. It's those matter of inches that make all the difference. And Saw, again, just slow this one down completely, knowing that with that initial aggression, they found the man advantage. And they found Muterus a lovely little hole to prod at in this hold. Should be able to get the ramp player completely by surprise here as he works his way back in. Indeed. Oh, blimey, a very awkward spray. Muterus just about manages to rein it in. They're watching for this aggression, but still, Zontix finds a little bit of timing. Half a gap, 2 kills, and that's Bomb. In the 2-on-2, they don't know it yet. And that will play into the hands of Saw, but they've got to take this retake cautiously. They have no idea what kind of control has been worked by the CTs here, and it's a little bit chaotic. Both on low HP, Zontix desperately so now, down on 9, will have to smoke himself away, and that will open up the A site. Goes for the reload, then swings on wide to find the headshot, and this surely now is done. Artfrost on the wrong side of the map to do anything about the plant, and a 1v2 up into that A site with just a single smoke to play with simply does not feel viable. Saw's comeback, their march of a T side continues. And once again, the scales just start to tip slowly in the Portuguese side's favour. We've seen them at both limits. And now they're coming out somewhere near the middle.
Yeah, it's certainly not as dominant as things were on Vertigo, but come back to life here. They've had their rounds as well that have been pretty dominant, and that's despite the fact that Spirit Academy have had everything they could ask for. This was the closest round we've had in quite a while, but Artfrost still forced into just saving the op over. I mean, he could drop, Sotvik could buy for himself, they could have the couple of weapons surrounding that op, and that looks to be what they're going to go for here, but it's risky. It's going to give Saw a chance if they take this to likely go up 7-6, unless again weapons are saved, of course. So Spirit Academy need to win this round here and now, and ideally need to take it up towards 9.
Huge opportunity for Saw, as you said. Artfrost, though, making the most of it. Saved Orb rings out, and Muterus is the first to go. First time in a while they found an uncontested first pick as well, the Spirit Academy. They've tried just about everything in the end. It's their talismanic Orpa who gets it. will concede some initial play towards lower off the back of it, though. And as of yet, they haven't rotated anyone down. Been very good normally at just dropping a player into that vent immediately. Instead, it's Sotfix slow playing it. Playing the sound cues, he'll get one, but immediately the trade is in. A little bit of carnage in towards lower as they swarm. And Art Frost, first to make his way down, can't quite catch the shoulder peak. Knows there's likely an AWP floating about somewhere, but as his teammates strip Roman of the bomb, it doesn't really seem to matter. Story stuck and isolated. The Molotov actually splitting him perfectly from Arisdos. Donk will just play the headshot angle. No need to overplay their hand on this occasion. The AWP can't quite adjust to the position of Zontic, and Donk peeks before his flash. Spirit Academy, you said that was the must-win round. They find it, Dean.
Yeah, and quite convincingly as well, which will let them ensure that they're going to have a nice amount of utility behind the buy this time around. Saw had won out quite a few rounds in a row, but hadn't built up quite the economy I think you'd be hoping for. It gets them their rifles for now, but with a couple of Galils in there, and well, that's not going to make things as easy as you'd hope for in what is a very crucial round, because they could be forced onto an eco if they lose this one. Spirit Academy could potentially still grind out a 10-round path. After that, as Suffolk gets the initial kill, doesn't have any vision, and ultimately doesn't realise he was caught out in the open, as well as the kills again begin to go in favour of Spirit Academy. But didn't give a damn. Straight up the ladder, and then a wall bang from Baz to finish it off as well. Okay, yeah, that's a problem for Saw now. They're all sitting around 2,000. They'll get maybe a couple of pistols. Probably not even, because they only get 2,400 loss bonus, and they'll be fighting to try and grind out that 6th round, which, fair enough, it'll still be a decent recovery. The Spirit Academy have managed to salvage what was beginning to look kind of bad for them, so
Done very well to salvage it.
Mad to think though, Spirit Academy lost like 4 rounds in a row and was still able to keep on buying. Saw lose 1 after winning a few in a row and completely broke.
It's normally the other way around as well. They've done a fantastic job of building that CT economy. Perfect pop flash for Saw here, and they're going to overwhelm the site. Should be able to get something out of this, but it's just a single kill. Not even the bomb. Zontix very swift on that rotation. I think read the threat before Saw even knew what they were going to throw at him. Gets his way down into that lower site.
Could have made the difference potentially. Instead, it's all rifles, but it's not a terrible buy. We need to see some of that. Some of those A hits perhaps again. That was where Saw found a lot of their success earlier on, and I think they might indeed be leaning back in that direction. Looks like he was tempted maybe to go for the hut aggression again. A little bit of spam damage actually. Ramp right there would have been a bit of a wall bang as well. I think also connecting. Nothing too crazy in the early stages. It's quite a passive hold from Saw, but they're heavily grouped in lobby, so I was going to say either A or towards a ramp it looks to be for a change.
Try and put some pressure on Zontix. Currently Molly out. Just looking to play the sound cues and the timings. Does drop it. You're right, they are looking to group heavily, and we haven't really seen this before, although Arts Frost might have just rotated in with the perfect timing. He's put himself in just the spot to deny this. Zontix available on the headshot angle as well. Hot flash goes through. There's the freebie on the first. Zontix takes advantage and finds his headshot to double up. And now 3 on 5. They're beautifully placed to deal with this. Zontix in with another. Can drop down if he wants, but his AWP's got his back. This is a gorgeous end to the half for Spirit Academy, unless Muturis can do the impossible. Clean headshot for 2. Needs more where that came from. Bomb still yet to be picked up as well. He's slowly but surely being pushed from all sides, and it will be double digits. Spirit Academy 10-5 up as we head to the break.
break up, don't speak for a couple of weeks. I'll be in his place till he calls and says he's sorry. This situation's on repeat, just like a scratch on a CD. It just gets deeper when you hit rewind. How many nights will you make this decision? Nights ending tears and it's blurring your vision. You know he don't love you, hurt you holding on to. Scream through the phone even though he won't listen. So I'm still at your place, trying to make it okay. He's miles away, I'm left here with you. Say that you just need someone caring for you. When will you see me more than your rescue? I'm feeling kinda used, yeah, like a drug that you take when you're sick of crying all your tears away. Is that all I am? All I want is for you to be happy. You know this ain't healthy. Do I make you happy? How many nights will you make this decision? Nights ending tears and it's blurring your vision.
10-5 half feels like it balances this game delicately on a knife's edge. A pistol that could well determine how this series goes for both of these lineups. Spirit Academy headed to the T side in the ascendancy. Can they keep it that way? Some early util feigning the A players. Instead, they want to prod, they want to poke that ramp, maybe keep the rotations honest, as then they look to double back, and Sophic takes full advantage of those Julies up close and personal for a freebie. Story trying to trade his way back into this site, but it's still the man advantage for the Team Spirit Academy for now, except Story and Ujerks have something to say about it until they fall off of the heavens. Ujerks gets one. And if he had just managed to surf his way through that, Story might have been the hero of the hour. Instead, he's comedy relief as he dies and Spirit Academy get 11.
And continue on with the form that they had just found towards the end of that half again. I was saying it to you in the break, though. I mentioned that we're finally getting a map where both of these teams are having a sign of life, even if it's kind of intermittent. It doesn't last too long, or at least it didn't in the case of Saw. Hopefully they'll find some again. And very soon, otherwise this is going to be a difficult CT side to make work, and I think they realise that. A pause comes in. They are going for the force buy. But as we know, that CT side never really affords a fantastic buy into the second round if they want to go for it. Unlike the T side, which can usually manage some rifles if they get a bomb plant down. They lose this though, it's 13-5 before they even see rifles in their own hands.
Could be a long way home if this one goes wrong, as you said. We've seen plenty of force buy stick the landing so far in this series.
Story doing Arc Frost on that scout? That's the question.
That's the big question. He's going to be smoked off outside initially, flashes to follow up and make sure his vision is completely obscured. And he will have to just concede this outside control. Nothing more he can do than that. Holding in case someone wants to try the garage, but Spirit Academy are keeping it simple here. Slinking their way into the lower site. There's plenty of headshot angles here for Muterus to potentially look to abuse, and there is a rotation starting to come through. Boost up for Donkey, can't quite find his mark, so they'll sneak a little while further, dig through the wall onto Muterus, and now he'll start screaming for help. A second rotate is in, and Ujerks has managed to get himself into dark. They're putting these pistols into the rattiest corners they can find on this map. The scout peeks wide, the tags are good. Can these pistols take advantage to convert? They are charging in, but Arfrost's Galil just rings out for two. Traded at least by Story, but the man advantage is here. The site is taken. A fast rotation from Roman may well catch them off guard here, and if he can just find a kill, he'll open it up. Instead, the full health of Donk faces him and takes him down. And at this point, even the exits are going to be cut out. Zontix, Mac 10, lurking up towards A, finds the scout. And for Arosdos, he's got to try and get out of this. He will be all that his team can afford to bring to the next round. It's 12 on the board for the Spirit Academy, and their T side is ringing true at the moment it needs to most.
It's really his worst case scenario. Save either with Templar forward at least, but that's all they're going to have in this round. Then they get one, maybe two real opportunities at gun rounds if they can't find success. And we've seen how many gun rounds they lost in a row on that previous half, so it's a very scary position to be in a series that we thought Saw had in the bag. We thought they were probably looking at a 2-0 before the series started. Then they come in with a 16-4 on Vertigo, which was Team Spirit Academy's map choice, and we're like, yeah, they have this in the bag, but no, it falls apart.
Falls apart in spectacular fashion too.
Yeah, I mean, not to undermine the incredible performance that Spirit Academy have put in. They have been playing incredibly well over these last two maps, and to be able to mentally reset after map number 1 for a team that maybe doesn't have the same level of experience as Saw is a tremendous skill to have.
They are looking to walk into the stack here. Jerks his P250, making it a little bit ugly, and they will find a few kills to keep it expensive. Arosdor's last up in towards heaven with the Deagle. But it's a Spirit round regardless, and that's all that will really matter to them at this point. 13 on the board. 3 rounds required. Donk having an absolute blunder of the series so far. 21 and 5, make it 22. Leading the charge, starting to see those individuals really flourishing. And for Saw, you don't want to say this is it, but it's starting to feel that way. Their first full buy, AWP in the hands of Story. Good rifles across the board. If they're going to get it done, it has to start now.
Yeah, and it will be incredibly difficult even if they do start it now. One hiccup along the way, and that could be it, really. See, Mutris, solid nade potentially. Makes a bit of damage indeed on towards Dunk. Dunks on Dunk. Frost also crossing over with the up, looking to try and probe for an early pick. There's no one really playing too aggressive. They've mostly given up the outside. I think Story was watching it from hell or heaven there, according to the radar, and you have a player making sure they're not going to get wrapped on main and that the cross doesn't actually come in. Although to drop towards main, now I was going to say could be dangerous as Story had been forced off his angle, but no, Mutris is ready for it. Ujerks is going to join in on the action as well and shuts down the cross, and this just isn't working out for Spirit Academy. They're going to try and reassess the situation and see what they can do in this 3-on-5.
Plan A seemed to fail pretty spectacularly there, and I'm not sure they had a plan B, so they kept plugging away at it.
It's plan B, eh?
Yeah, without the AWP pick outside, it really felt like that whole thing fell apart. 50 seconds on the clock to try and get something going, but the CTs, this is what we expect from Saw, disciplined in their positioning.
Bunker down once you have an advantage like this. You don't need to give anything away. Play the crossfires. Make sure every kill from that point on is at least a trade.
Exactly. It's what we've come to expect from this lineup, and with 30 seconds left, having given absolutely nothing up, Spirit Academy, well, it's a decision to make, and that decision, I believe, is to save here because they are not being let in by Saw. It will be a 6th. It will be all 5 alive as well for the CT side, which could be huge in the context of this comeback.
Yeah, I mean, we did see them once they started to find some life on the T side really come alive, so hopefully we're witnessing something similar right now. This is the first gun round, so we haven't really got a chance to see what they actually have to give us on the CT side yet. As 3 weapons are saved forward at the very least for Spirit Academy, they can drop to their 2 teammates, or at least one of them. Dunk could buy for himself, but if he wants the nades, maybe he gets a drop. I think Artfrost, though, wants to keep money towards an off-player run if needed. He's having a much slower game here, hasn't been needed. Dunk is 22 and 6, what the hell?
He's been flying, absolutely flying.
I mean, it's incredible to see that it's not the same player every map either that's stepping up for Spirit Academy. They can clearly all get into form. Baz has had his moments as well, maybe not as consistently round to round as Dunk and Artfrost have been kind of showing up, although not on this map obviously for Artfrost, although he reconnected, right, so his kills are a lot better. Because I remember he was playing pretty well early on.
Cool here is initially for that outside control. Molotov is going to cause some problems though as those smokes start to fade. Good tag damage found as well. Spirit Academy again wanting to keep it simple, but Roman, of all the kills to find, it's Sotfik, it's the bomb. Luckily enough recovered, but huge information gathered. An opening pick as well. They're going to boost Artfrost onto the angle. Nobody occupying for the CT side, so nothing to be concerned with there. As they slink their way down, trying to be as quiet as possible, trying not to give any kind of information away, being diligent in the boost peaks on every angle available. But again, you see this from Saw. Initial pick found, that's it. We're locking down our angles, we're locking down and not giving you anything at all to work with until you execute right into us. And it's going to be Arisdos on a slight off angle here. U-Jerk's ready to join him at the first sign of trouble as they swing on in. Donk gets the freebie. Arisdos not able to adjust in time, and Donk doubles up. This is going from bad to worse. The AWPer lucky to be alive as Artfrost shot rings past his ears. At the very least, Roman has dealt with the backstab. The late lurkout main is gone. This is all on the afterplant, and it's an even 3-on-3 if the CTs want to give it a go. All three looking to group up towards the ramp now. They've got a kit. They've got a little bit of utility. A couple of flashes to try and work their way through this one. Donk on the close headshot angle, though, and Artfrost supporting him from deep has found the freebie. Now just has to stay alive, and that will be it. 14. Spirit Academy, they go back to what works. They work their way slowly but surely down into that lower site, and then a little bit of magic out of Donk cracks it open.
This is worst case scenario. I mean, at least they're saving a couple of weapons forward, but even with that, they're only just about scraping together their buy, and obviously if that goes south, then at that point they don't have anything at all to try and fight for the overtime. So it is all or nothing right now for Saw. We said they couldn't afford any hiccups. They definitely couldn't afford to trip so early on into what could have been their comeback, only one round before dropping one. Solid enough investment, though. They're not really lacking anything. Spirit again putting down the outside smokes. Not looking like they're going to be going quite as heavy with them in terms of movement. Had a little bit of presence up on silo, expecting maybe even some lobby aggression. Change from Saw. Story I don't think is going to go any further forward than his current position, though.
Certainly not without utility to support. Happy to post, though, and that's a really powerful angle for him to take in these opening moments. A lot of map control taken. A lot of opportunities limited, and it allows Arisdos to drop down. Support that lower site. The timings of these fights could well be everything. Story remains steadfast on his positioning. And with Donk just working his way down secret, he's not really keen to push the issue, knowing he's solo. There's no more smokes to get that full wall going, to get them across, so it has to be, surely, a play out of the lobby, and that's going to give Story his golden opportunity. Artfrost goes down, the AWPer picked, the man advantage found again for Saw. With Donk isolated, Story will swing in again a second as Baz falls down, and this is more like it from the CT side. This is what we've come to expect of them. For Sotfik and Donk, it's the impossible situation. 25 seconds, a 2-on-5, isolated individual fights. It will be the round going the way of the CT side. They'll even look to save the rifles, although Arisdos is keen to try and deny. A little bit of something to fight into the next round would be appreciated for the T side, I'm sure.
Yeah, you don't want to be facing Donk right now, who seems to be having one of his best games ever. Let me check. Yeah, also up there in the stats. He has 1.25 stats over the last 3 months. Again, against not the greatest of teams ever, but still very, very impressive alongside Artfrost. Zontix looks like he has some pretty solid performances as well. Baz is actually only a 1.01 rating. We've seen him have some great rounds as well. Clearly, he's a player who seems to sacrifice and play some of those calmer positions. But when he had his chances, especially on Inferno, he was looking very solid indeed. And we know about Sotfik. We know what he brings to the team. It's a ton of experience for sure. It's been around as long as I've been playing CS, playing professionally, I'm pretty sure.
Frost up against Story, the battle of the Orpers again, except this time it's Story aggressive outside. Playing ahead of the smoke. Taking that red control away. And you can see the reaction from the Team Spirit Academy. They're starting to line up some util to try and counter him. Lovely little flashbang, but there's so much presence here for Saw. They have lent so heavily into this outside play. There's 3 players ready and waiting. Missed shot from one, but the trade is there from Uterus. Roman able to back out of that situation as well. That's a trade the CT side will take. It denies the outside control. It funnels Spirit Academy back into lobby, which is exactly where this CT side want them. U-Jerks ready and waiting on the ramp. Ready to receive this hit right as it comes on through. It's a question of timing on his peak. It's a rough old spray though. Huge damage, no kill. Again, it's going to be on that lobby lurk. Again, it's on Zontix, and this time he delivers. Roman goes down. The man advantage becomes 2. And if Zontix can hold on to this, there's a huge possibility to double back into the A site. There's just one man here. The other is committed to lower. So if Zontix finds his shot, that's it. 15, as simple as that. It feels less than a whimper. But it's a slog across the final battlefield to find it. And that is 8 series points for Spirit Academy.
It's just a single round and then traded back on every time for Saw. But, I mean, they look impressive in the rounds that they're winning. It's just when it falls apart, it really does collapse for them, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's the problem, is there's no sort of maybe rounds. It's always either we look utterly dominant and very impressive, or the wheels have come off. We've been put up on bricks and they're wandering past us. Like, there is no in between at the moment.
It's sort of nuts. I mean, we're getting kind of how the previous maps went, but condensed into sets of rounds here for Saw, where they find their form and then it's just completely gone again. They're swapping between their Inferno and Vertigo performances. I mean, no one's stepping up either individually. They're ranging between 8 and 12 kills there, so it's no one's fault. No one's playing terribly, but just no one is playing fantastic either, which is not anything you can say right now about Spirit Academy, because they have Dunk having a ridiculous performance. Art Frost is chilling now, but I think his first half was pretty solid before he reconnected, and everyone else is doing their job pretty well as also, so it's just too much for them to handle at the moment. Whenever you have players pop off, that's all they need at the moment. They grind out one more round. They have one round where either Dunk gets a few kills or the op comes alive again, and it's all done for Saw. So this is an incredibly difficult road ahead if they want to make this comeback happen. Smoke down on the doors. It looked like Spirit Academy were hoping maybe try and look for some picks in this area. Spam nearly actually landed on Mutrus as he was going down the vent.
If nothing else, they're doing a fantastic job of bleeding that CT utility away. I mean, you look at it now, there's one smoke, one molly. That's it for stalling. And as Zontix through this corner of the smoke opens up, it will force further aggression. 1 becomes 2. And it starts to slowly but surely slip away from Saw. Donk with another, and it's all on this ramp play. It's all on a push through a smoke. You'd never think it was Saw saying that kind of thing, but it is going to be the case. Artfrost is watching for it as well. He backs off right as the smoke starts to fade, sets himself on a favourable angle, and will just wait for his prey. Story traded 1 for 1 at the very least, grabs a second headshot. He's trying to do all he can, but just 7 health from death. Even a wallbang will do it. He knows it as well, looking for the speculative wallbang. It's not to be. Donk ends 28-7. Spirit Academy end 2-1 after the drought of Vertigo. They find an oasis, and what a way to pull that performance back, Dean.
Yeah, I mean, that was a shocking performance. They come in, they look completely flat on Vertigo. They're a team that we haven't really seen much of either, so we were like, okay, is this what do we expect throughout the series now? But they just came to life on Inferno and did not look back on Nuke either, despite Saw definitely finding some of their own form back at points. But whenever they found it, immediately we'd see a change from Spirit Academy. We'd see them try something new, and we'd see the individuals, again, just as always, managing to rip heads off constantly. Dunk, I don't know, he was pretty quiet on Inferno, and then out of nowhere on Nuke, he's an absolute legend.
Yeah, it did feel like Spirit Academy found the one breaking the armor of Saw, which has always been, if there is someone absolutely lighting the server up, there is not a lot they can do about it. They do lack that firepower. We say it time and again, right? They make up for it in the team play, they make up for it in the utility usage, they make up for it in the trades, but they lack that X factor. And when someone else shows up and starts just rocking the server with it, it can start to throw them a little bit. And I guess Spirit Academy are the perfect kryptonite in that regard, because they have so many individuals who can pull off those nutty series. We saw it from Artfrost, we saw it from Donk, and that, at the end of the day, is what got the Spirit Academy boys over the line. A 2-1 finish, 3 hectic maps, but that is us done for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, as always, very, very much for watching. We'll see you next week. Good night.
You love it, you wear it. What's your style? Get your merch at shop.eslgaming.com.
Break up, don't speak for a couple of weeks. I'll be in his place till he calls and says he's sorry.